Meeting. If we can have a roll call.
Mayor Endicott.
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Present.
We have 4 present. Mr. Blades is absent currently.
All right. Next, if we could have an approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve?
Motion and second.
Can you push something back there for Kyle, or do I? Okay. 4 ayes, motion carries. Thank you, Riley.
All right. Next, we have public comment on the closed session. Seeing none, we will move on to the closed session. We have conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representative is, do you pronounce this Travis Reed. Employee organizations, United Food and Commercial Workers, Police Employee Association of Ridgecrest, unrepresented employees is confidential mid-management. So we will adjourn to closed session.
I see Mr. Blades.
Next, we will have our attorney report out of closed session.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. One item was taken up by closed session, that's taken in the agenda. Council took no reportable actions in closed session.
All right, thank you. We will adjourn our closed session and move to the open session. All right, welcome to our Wednesday, June 3rd, Ridgecrest City Council meeting. If we can get a roll call.
Travis.
So you're off too.
Mayor Endicott.
Present.
Mr. Blades.
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Oh, there it goes. Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Present.
5 present. We have a quorum.
All right, next, do we have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second.
Please vote once we get it up. Nope, he's saying that's not going to work. So we're going to do roll call. Mayor Endicott.
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
Mr. Gorman.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, next, if I could ask you all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and to remain standing for the invocation to follow. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for this beautiful town where we live and cherish. Lord, I pray for our country. Lord, give the leaders of our country the right direction, Lord. Lord, I pray for our troops who are in harm's way. Protect them from all evil. Lord, pray for our police department. Be with them as they put their lives on line to serve this community. Lord, thank you for the responsibility you have given to the council. Lord, as we discuss matters which are important to this community, I ask you to give us your wisdom and your direction. Let there be civility, let there be respect in our discussions, Lord. Lord, bless each one of us here today. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. All right. So first up, we have council presentation. We have the RACVB update. Carrie.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Crutcher. I'm the Executive Director of the Ridgecrest Visitors Bureau. And I'm here tonight to share some of the highlights from the last few weeks and months, Q2 specifically, some of the efforts that we have been focusing on at the RACVB. A few highlights are advocacy for 395 highway signage, positioning Ridgecrest as a tourism voice in the county, attending international travel shows representing Ridgecrest, earned media attention, and the bright shining star of Q2, which was the Rampage at Ridgecrest off-road race. Oh, can I have a clicker? Not in September, in April, I'll just wait. Okay, there we go. In April, I traveled to Sacramento with Chief Issett and City Manager Reed to advocate before the Senate Transportation Committee in support of the approval of an amendment to SB 990. SB 990 would allow information signs on Highway 395 at the Ridgecrest approaches, being South China Lake Boulevard and 395, and then the 178 exit and 395 as well. The things that I focused on there in my short 2-minute presentation was the fact that these signs would improve traveler safety on an unfamiliar desert road by making essential services easier to identify. The signs support local economic activity by converting pass-through motorists into Ridgecrest visitors and customers. And the signs would connect travelers to the California Welcome Center, hospital care, lodging, restaurants, fuel, and medical services just minutes off the corridor. One thing that's interesting to know, I think it's interesting, is when you take the traffic counts on Highway 395 going north and south, if we were able to capture just 1%, an additional 1% of the people traveling on that highway, just driving right past Ridgecrest, that would bring, on the very conservative low side, $2.2 million in revenue to our local businesses. So not only would these signs offer the message that there is a safe place for people to pull off, but it also would greatly impact our local businesses. So SB 990 left the Senate floor, and it's now on the Assembly side. And I'm waiting to hear back from our assemblyman for a timeline on that. But so far, things are going really well on that front. I was invited in May to speak on a panel at the Kern County Economic Summit. And the panel was focused on recreation and tourism in Kern County. The panelists included Amy Chambers, who is the Director of Engagement with Visit California. Visit California is the California State Office of Tourism. Justin Powers, Community Strategist for the Kern River Valley. Chris Kelly, who is the President of the new Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tejon. And the moderator was David Lyman, previous CEO of Visit Bakersfield. The thing that was important about that panel was the room was full of a county-wide audience, and oftentimes we know that the county focus is on West Kern, and so I really was trying to focus on more of an East Kern, centric conversation, and reinforcing the fact that Ridgecrest it's part of the greater tourism corridor. And I really tried to stress the fact that Ridgecrest is also part of the larger countywide economic story. And we're not just that little town on the other side of the mountain. So it was very successful. I got a lot of great feedback from the panel. And one of our efforts as of late has been to just be more visible on the county side. Every effort we have to bring visibility to the county for Ridgecrest is a great opportunity, and so any opportunity I get, I will continue to do so. We also traveled to the International Powwow Travel Show. Our tourism manager, Lori Butterfield, attended that. She actually just got back about a week or so ago. IPW is a travel show where international buyers review the list of attendees, and they schedule appointments with different destinations. And so while Lori was there, she was able to participate in 41 appointments with travel buyers. And the thing that's unique about IPW is that because the buyer selects the destination that they want to interview, they know that they already have people interested in the California deserts. And so Ridgecrest partners with a community of destinations called the Visit California Deserts Association, and Visit Palm Springs heads that effort. And so when we travel to these shows with them, it's free of charge for Ridgecrest. We only have to pay for the travel expenses to get there. And then it's really a nice kind of division of opportunities, because those travelers who are interested in luxury experience will gravitate towards Palm Springs, and those who want to see Death Valley or more of like a rustic experience have more interest in Ridgecrest. And so because lodging in Death Valley is so limited, we're able to capture business that way. And one thing that Lori was able to do was reconnect with 2 companies that she had met with last year. One of them was important because after her meeting with them last year, they started to come to Ridgecrest. And so I think their travel group has come, I want to say 4 times, and they will continue to. So IPW is a very valuable show, and we will continue to travel to that. We also are focusing and devoting more staff time in now reaching out to those group tours. And even if they're not overnight stays, if they're coming and just stopping and having a meal, fueling up, whatever, that's successful. And so now that we're officially post-COVID, bus travel is back, and so we are really working towards capitalizing on that and capturing that business as well. Some happy news in the earned media field. We recently received destination exposure through a series called Best of California, featuring host Pat Pattison. So you see me there at the Trona Pinnacles talking about all of the different movies that have been filmed out there, and what a neat little off-the-beaten-path hidden gem the Pinnacles are. Best of California has a very strong social media presence, and they also have a 30-minute episode that is aired on an LA TV station, MeTV, and then also on demand. They did a 2-minute segment strictly on the Welcome Center and everything that we have in the Welcome Center, and then also the 30-minute episode on our region in general. So we took them around to a few of our hotspots, and so looking forward to when that airs, and I'll surely be letting everyone know about that. Wrong way. Okay. Rampage at Ridgecrest was an off-road event that was held in May 15th through 17th, and I have to say that it was quite the undertaking. The weekend in general, it was a true community partnership between the City of Ridgecrest, the Chamber of Commerce, the Fairgrounds, Friends of the Fair, SNOR, who were the race organizers, our local vendors, local businesses, public safety, and our hospitality partners. One company I would like to really acknowledge is United Rentals. Those guys serve our community all the time. They sponsor events, they donate, and so they made huge contributions to this event. And so we're very thankful for them and love partnering with them. Let's see. So the way the weekend went was we partnered with the city on Friday night to do an extended version of Night on Balsam. And so that meant the physical footprint of Balsam extended. We extended all the way out to Ridgecrest Boulevard. The city was great about getting additional vendors. The thing that was very unique was that the racers, they have to go through a tech process before they can race. And so they did their tech and contingency on Balsam. So the cars parked on the street, the race cars, and then the event organizers went around and did the tech on each car. So the racers had to be there. So it was really cool. We had 102 race cars. Every single race car that entered the race was there on Balsam. participating in a show and shine, which is basically like a car show. Councilman Gorman was one of our judges for the show and shine because he has such a respect for engineering. He was a great fit for that role. But it was just a great time. We estimated about 5,000 people there, and again, the city was great, police were great, everybody had a great time. Zero complaints, very successful. Saturday consisted of racing around the fairgrounds and in that region out there. Hundreds of spectators were on site. Strong restaurant, bar, grocery, and fuel impact from those racers. And then Saturday night, we had an after-hours event there at the fairgrounds, which was less attended than Night on Balsam, but still a successful event. And then Sunday, the racing continued, and some of the racers actually stayed on until Monday and then headed home on Monday. They do their awards at like 6 p.m. on Sunday night, so it's a nice little extra stayover that we get there. So economic impact, what did it look like truly for us? And I am happy to report that the numbers were excellent. The visitor origins included Nevada, Arizona, California, as far as Kansas, which is fantastic in just advancing awareness for Ridgecrest. The more people that know about this place, truly the better. In terms of numbers, you'll see there, we did do an economic impact study, and the hotel data showed that hotel demand for that weekend was up 68% year over year. So to break it down, that's 400 room nights, 200 room nights on Friday, 200 room nights on Saturday. 200 rooms, that's significant. And so fantastic. The hotelers were happy. That was great. The direct visitor spending included lodging, food and beverage, fuel and transportation, retail and grocery purchases, entertainment spending, and event-related vendor or production expenditures that occur in the local economy. One of the most hotels, restaurants, and then gas stations were the most affected. And one thing that was funny was I was driving to work on Friday, and I drove by a gas station, and there was this big diesel truck with this big old trailer attached, and he must have had 10 gas cans in the bed of his truck, and he's just unloading them. And I saw it, and I was like, yes, that's what we want. And so I did a U-turn and tried to take a picture like the crazy lady that I am, and the cars were in the way, and so, or else you would see that picture up here. But those are the things that we love to see. Visitors at our businesses, providing that economic boost to our economy. And so all in all, it was a fantastic weekend. I thank you all to our community partners. It was a very good quarter two. We're not stopping there. Quarter three and on also are going to be good this year. Summer tends to be slower with the leisure travel visitor and the events just because of the weather. And so the RACVB has operating agreements with Sierra Sands, with Saracoso, to be able to, and the city, so that we can use their facilities for sports tournaments. And so this summer, we have 2 youth sports tournaments happening at Saracoso, one in June, one in July, a basketball tournament and a volleyball tournament. Those will bring teams from out of town. They will earn overnight stays. And again, just another step in continuing to build our event portfolio. And so I'm pleased to work with Saracoso on that. They have a beautiful facility, and so those 2 events are going to be great, I think. So with that, that's pretty much it. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Kerry. You are doing great job. So one question, are you going to make this Rampage at Ridgecrest annual event?
I wish we could do it every month. That's not possible. Yes, annual event for sure. And what I didn't say was Snore and the racers were, just stoked is the word that comes to my mind. They just were so stoked on Ridgecrest. We rolled out the red we put banners at the entrance of town, welcome racers. The wind blew them down because the company sent the wrong material, but we really made every effort to roll out the red carpet and welcome them. And the city went out of their way, RACVB, just everyone. And so it did not go unnoticed. So they absolutely are coming back. And actually, I think on that slide, up to 300 cars is what they're anticipating next year, because the word is out that like Ridgecrest is a cool place to race. And so we expect that growth. We probably will see them in the fall of '27.
Thank you very much. Awesome job.
Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you, Carrie, and over the years, I've seen a definite growth of the RACVB and successes of what you've done and the effects on the community, so I think it's fantastic. And that kind of gets to a question I had as far as like a survey to the participants as to, their satisfaction of the event and areas to improve on, for upcoming years and that kind of thing too, to, keep that ball rolling, but,
Yeah, and I talked with the president of SNOR just a few days ago, and they did their kind of debrief. We did ours with all of our partners and what worked and what didn't, and just a few tweaks. They want to tweak the course a little bit, but all in all, very little really that was negative to report. So, but we are communicating with them on that.
well, congratulations on, I think, a great success.
Thank you.
And boom to the community, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
I think that's all. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, just as a quick aside, for those that are standing, there are open seats if you guys want to come and find a seat. And so if those that are on the outside, if you guys want to scoot to the middle so it's easier. We can make friends tonight. All right.
How many seats we got?
Those
Total?
that are in the
1, 2, 3,
lobby?
4, 5, 5, 6, 7.
Do you guys want to come in? There's seats. You can get front row. There's no. Okay, I just didn't want you guys standing the whole time, but you're good? All right. All right, so next we will move on to public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not act on an item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. And I'll just remind you that the data center is on the agenda. So I'm sure you all are aware, but.
My name is Jan Bennett. My address 405 Lorraine Court. Council members, members of the community, I'm here to represent the Ridgecrest Elks Lodge to invite everyone to the ceremony that we will have on June the 13th to celebrate the history of the American flag. The Sidewinder Sea Cadets will assist us with the ceremony. The Scout Troop will be performing a cremation of flags early in the morning, and the actual ceremony starts at 11 o'clock. We have a guest speaker, the Honorable Solomon Rajaratnam, and we will have some refreshments afterward. It's open to the community, and it's a very interesting and mercifully short ceremony.
And I'm Tia Courtney. Address is 512 East Church Avenue. And just wanted to add a little bit. We do have a flag box that is in our parking lot of the Elks Lodge at 201 East Church Avenue. You're welcome to bring any flags that need to be retired and put them in that box, or you can bring them to the Elks Lodge tomorrow evening, where they are open tomorrow, or you can bring them on the day of the ceremony as well. We had an Eagle Scout do that box as his project, so even if you don't have something that you need to drop off, please come by and check out that flag box. He did an amazing job. And we were thankful and happy that he chose that as his Eagle Scout project. So we rewarded him for doing that, and it was just awesome. So please, all the community, and especially bring your children, because they need to know the history of the flag. And the history will actually encompass all of the flags from start to finish, and all of the stars and the stripes and how they got to be and how they actually wound up being where they are today. So if you don't know the history of the flag, we need to keep our kids knowing the history of the flag as well. So come on out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Council. Jamie Jones. Thank you for that flyer. I was just talking to Pam back there. I need things to do for my son, who's 5 and is driving my wife insane at home. So good evening to those of you on the council who gave me your thoughts the last meeting about the flock contract. Thank you. I appreciate it. None of the countless points that Mike, Daniel, I, or community members were addressed, though. Mayor, I've heard your quotes from Walt Whitman and a speech you gave on Thomas Paine. I appreciate your respect and admiration of thought leaders who have shaped our country. So maybe you can appreciate when in 1928, Justice Brandeis, in a dissenting opinion that would shape legal arguments 40 years later, said of our founders, they, meaning our founding fathers, conferred, as against the government, the right to be let alone, the most comprehensive of rights and the right most valued by civilized men. That's a favorite of mine, but I'd like to speak directly to the public tonight. In this audience, in this room, we'll spend significant time discussing the data center project, rightfully so. We were given a transparent seat at the table, plans will be weighed, and we will plan community action. That is exactly how local governance is supposed to work. But it highlights a massive hypocritical double standard at City Hall. Why is it that a commercial building gets a transparent public hearing while an invasive corporate mass surveillance network logging the daily movements of every driver on China Lake Boulevard gets pushed to the shadows? Why has not a single council member been willing to sponsor a formal agenda item to let this community debate our own privacy rights? Let's address the elephant in the room. First, a crime was recently solved using these cameras. As residents who care about safety, we are glad a criminal was caught. But let me ask everyone else in this room tonight, does catching one criminal mean we hand over our constitutional privacy rights forever? Of course not. If we justify a permanent corporate dragnet based on a single success, we are trading our fundamental liberties for a false sense of security. The ends do not justify the means. Since the rollout of the cameras, this council has offered blind, blank check support for this technology. But what they haven't done is answer a single solitary question from their own constituents. They've completely ignored the formal data-backed concerns raised by myself, Mike, Daniel, and dozens of our own citizens. We asked them about the company's predatory business practices. Silence. We explicitly asked for clarification on sections 4.3 and 5.3 of the contract, the specific laws that dictate our town's data retention, who owns the footage, and what third-party entities can access it. Not a single word. When public officials use defensive deflections and stonewalling to avoid giving a straight answer to specific contract questions, it doesn't build trust. Why the secrecy? If this contract is so good for Ridgecrest, why are we still hiding sections 4.3 and 5.3 from the public when we're the ones paying for it? I have a really long speech. I should have cut this down. When a private corporation logs the exact time, date, and GPS coordinates of every single car passing through town, they aren't just tracking pieces of metal, they are tracking human beings. Why on earth would we trust a private company with that kind of power? What does to stop bad actors from hacking into this database? Think about the lives and people who work in this town. We are surrounded by federal government workers, active duty military, and defense contractors in China Lake. We all know how vindictive political actors and bureaucratic entities can be. What is to stop a rogue actor, a foreign adversary, or an aggressive federal agency from hacking this corporate system, downloading the database of scans, and tracking a trail where our base workers go? Imagine a scenario where a dedicated federal employee of China Lake has their daily route tracked, fabricated into a malicious narrative, and weaponized against them. We know the federal government already bypasses local authorities to access these massive commercial databases. What does to stop them from using this unvetted data to target a worker, flag a completely innocent routine as a security risk, or suspend or revoke the security clearance they need to feed their families? By building this centralized cloud database, they haven't protected Ridgecrest. They build a surveillance weapon that directly threatens the livelihoods of our base workers and the economic engine of our town. Way too much stuff here. I appreciate you all for listening. I thought this would be a good opportunity to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Paul Vanderwerf, talk about the senior center for a few moments. Our community actually has a lot of resources compared to what we had in years past. We need to be resilient and adapt to our changes, the schools that are opening and closing. I think I read in the paper last week that the junior high had to have their graduation at another facility because they could no longer house that at the school. That's the flexibility we need to have in the community. Our elderly, infants, and those with underlying health conditions are those at greatest risk in our community for things that are not made available. And specifically tonight, I want to bring up the issue of the cooling centers. And we have a cooling center at the Kerr-McGee Center, but typically the senior center was open more hours until now, and many of the seniors would use the senior center. And I'd like that to be considered as a more reasonable alternative, that it's a large facility, it's underused, and we need to adapt and be flexible and make that available for our seniors, our infants, those with underlying conditions, when the temperatures are hot and their AC is not working. In addition, I've been to other cities who actually have what's called a heating center when temperatures are below freezing. Particularly, I stayed in Fresno one night, and they actually had a homeless couple in a tent using a portable heater, and they had carbon monoxide poisoning and died in their tent. And so no one's talking about a heating center here in Ridgecrest, but as our population gets larger and there's more needs, I think that we should consider that also. And those are run by volunteers in the community. They show up, and it's not every night, it's only as needed. But those hours, we need to really look out for our cooling center. If it's gonna be hot in the evening, it needs to be open. Another thing that I've noticed, just walking down China Lake Boulevard from north to south, the fire extinguisher or the fire hydrants have the caps being stolen. So the one in front of the Ridgecrest cleaners, the cap is stolen probably because it's bronze and they can get some metal value out of that. The one at Emmanuel Church and at Home Depot had been loosened, but because they were chained on, they weren't stolen. But I would encourage that to be passed on for somebody to check those. It would really be sad if we had a fire and our hydrants weren't working right because somebody's stealing the caps. I also ride the bicycle. You'd be amazed at how many flat tires. I think TJ Frisbee might be planting those goat heads on our streets. I know we're trying to clean our roads and so forth, but I'd like to put that question out there. I have no idea if this is done or what the need is or how we can meet that need. We have some walking bicycle paths. Is there a street cleaner? Is there a way to clean that up? Some of the areas, and I'm not going to pick out the worst ones, but some of the areas are a challenge on a bicycle. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, Paul, you just, I was recently talking with the water district. They are ordering those, the hydrant caps. They're trying to get a stockpile. Again, it is brass, so it's taken a bit, but they're trying to get a stockpile up so that they can work on making sure all the hydrants have those caps.
It seems like a simple thief because all it required is a chain on them and they loosened them and then gave up on them because they didn't have the right tools to steal them properly.
Yeah.
So hopefully the more that we can stop that, the better.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to let you know the Water District is aware, and they're working on that one. So, but thank you for bringing that up.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Slayton. I don't want to talk about fireworks or drone shows, but I do want to point out that we have a very significant political event coming up this summer all across the country, America's 250th birthday. And I just received an email from the county in my work life about Keep Kern Beautiful doing cleanup days. So I reached out to my favorite cantankerous old man here in town who's always talking about cleaning things up. It's Chuck Rowland. And I said, hey, what do you guys do with cleanup? Aren't you like Mr. MRC 26? And he was like, there's no cleanup days. I said, yes, there are. I've seen Kyle Blades out picking up trash in Facebook photos. I know this happens. And he was like, there's no cleanup days. But I don't know if there are or there aren't, but we sure do need one before America's 250th birthday when people all come in for whatever show we're having that I'm not gonna mention. So I just wanted to ask for staff to consider referring that. I know our public works guys do an amazing job at trying to keep things clean, but I also think it's important, especially as a scout mom who's helping with things like Elks projects, to make sure our community knows it's everybody's responsibility. This is a great opportunity to let people know it's your time to come help make sure our community is clean. Presumably in our waste management contract, I'm also not going to talk about trash pickup, but our waste management contract, it probably includes help with bulky item disposals. And so just organizing something to really make sure our community looks nice when people come in would be great, and to really do this on a regular basis. I know Keep Bakersfield Beautiful. In Lamont, we do 4 events a year. Tiny little town, no city, so it'd be great to see our city here do something. Maybe not on the scale of Keep Bakersfield Beautiful, which is once a month, but really something that we can make sure that people are connected to and really helping do their part to keep our city beautiful. Also a note, hopefully Chuck is watching, I don't like Make Ridgecrest Clean. I think we should go with Keep Ridgecrest Beautiful like the entire county has. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Hello, my name is Daniel Neal. I have been speaking at pretty much every town hall the last 6 months, I think it is. And I thought it was interesting that at the last one, we ended up getting so riled up that we ended up on the front page of the paper. Is what landed us on the front page of that paper was the fact that the city council tends to disregard everything that is said about the issue of flock in this town. I have asked for flock to be added to the agenda, so have my colleagues Mike and Jamie and many others. And I believe we need to add this to the agenda because it is an issue that many people have issue with. People don't enjoy being surveilled in their own town on public property. Our chief of police has said that because we carry cell phones and have Facebook, we can't argue or complain about this. But I say you can leave your cell phone at home, but you can't stay at home and never go to the store. Our public land should be protected. Our public property should be protected. We shouldn't be surveilled every time we leave our house, but we are now. And that is a big problem for a small town like us. 24 AI-powered cameras in this town, for a town this size, makes no sense. And I earnestly think that we are being ignored because of the issue itself, because there is likely a large problem with the chief of police leaning on this issue and trying to make sure that it stays in town. I don't know why, but I think it is something that needs to be addressed. I'm going to once again ask that it is added to a future agenda a month or so out so that we can actually get people together to argue about this and to talk about it, because it is something that is dear to many people's hearts. I also would like to take a moment to talk about what the last 2 speakers back said. I do believe that we need a heating and cooling center here in town. It is far too hot in the summer and it is far too cold in the winter. We need something to take care of the at-risk community, because otherwise it's going to get worse. We're likely to see record temperatures this year and in the years to come. And it needs to be addressed. So many issues in this town tend to go unaddressed, and I do not understand why. Whenever a town is so argumentative about issues and a city council ignores them, I do not understand why. I would like to take the last moment here just to announce that I am officially going to be on attempting to run in the November election for city council, because I believe that we need some fresh blood, and I believe we need some other viewpoints on this city council. I hope you all have a good day. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Daniel.
Good evening, Kathy Russell. I just wanted to say thank you also to the council for making comments about Flock at the end of the last session of the council meeting. You were able to tell your opinions, and I think that's what people want, is they want to hear that they've been heard. And so I don't understand why that doesn't happen earlier in the meeting, like after public comment, so we could at least know what you're thinking. People have said there's blank stares, nobody knows what you're thinking, and then you wait till the end of the meeting and you have people's opinions. I think people are up here talking because they want to know that they are being heard, and when they don't get any response, they don't think they're being heard. Just like Flock, I understand people's opinions, but I don't understand too, like you said, why couldn't it be on the agenda to review the contract, know when it's up, know what the details are, and figure out if there is a chance for renewal or revising, that it's not presented that way, that he can't even consider that. I also wanted to ask Travis Reed what the status of the charging station was next to McDonald's.
After. Yeah. After public comment. Yeah. Yeah, so Kathy, and I have to interject, it's breaking protocol, it's not breaking the Brown Act, but it's not breaking protocol. There's a reason that we do not respond right away, is because we have seen over the years, and so now I have some history, right, over the last couple
Right.
meetings. It used to be, we were very free and open, and we would rap back and forth, and we definitely got into legal trouble. And you do start, when you get into a back and forth, you get into conversations, you start getting off of the agenda, you start talking about things you're not supposed to, and then you can get into a Brown Act violation real quick. What that happened is the meeting got whittled down over those years to like, okay, we now understand that we have to, like every other city, we sit here, we listen, and then the reason we don't just give our opinions on everything is that next section, that's when we look at staff, please address this, please address that, or we make an announcement for the committee. It's just the way it's set up right now. And then at the end of the agenda is where we have that council comments. That's when we can give our comments at the end, and that's why you heard it at the end.
Okay.
And so it's not a blank stare on purpose. I can tell you that I've sat up here for 6-7 years, and I can tell you that it is more of a fight for me to hold my tongue sometimes, right, than
No,
it
I
is anything. So
understand.
Kathy, what I'm getting at is we don't always like it either, but we're gonna have to keep going through that rigmarole. And then if we can give the staff direction, we will, if it's something we can direct staff, as soon as we get to this next section.
And I guess the other point would be to annotate who has made comments, and at the end, when you say you can't make comments, says, thank you for your comment about blah, 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 appreciate it. And not make, just to recognize that you heard them and there was a concern. Just to wrap it up, that, or circle back, like she was, I'm just saying,
Yep.
you can find some way to make sure that the people know that you're being heard.
The only other thing we can do, Kathy, legally, when
The Brown
public,
Act.
the public is making comments, is legally, we can ask a clarifying question. For example, if you're like, hey, the light is out at, Downs and whatever, I can be like, where exactly was that? I didn't hear it. I can ask a clarifying question, but we're not supposed to get into a back and forth, a debate, or a discussion. It's
Okay.
against the Brown Act.
I understand. Brown Act is supposed to be there to help us be interactive, but in the same token, it's preventing us from being
It is, sometimes
communicating
it is just
on
as
a very-
restrictive.
It's too restrictive. And that's hard for us to understand, that we just want to be part of the community, and it takes a lot for people to show up here, and they just want to know they're listened to. So Travis Reed's question about the charging station, at what point you'll respond to what the status is? When would that be? At the,
At the next section.
okay, all right, thank you.
Good evening, Council. A month ago, I came up here with a question, and it has to do with one of the most funny things I keep seeing on Facebook, that people keep asking on a question on Facebook is Garlock open? See that over and over again. I know that they're saying it in jest, but you know what? There's some reality to that. A month ago, I asked any of you to approach or find out from the county what's going on with Garlock Road. Okay, I know I've tried to find out from our missing in action supervisor Peters. He doesn't respond to anything. At least he doesn't to me anyway. I was hoped that he would respond to you. Anyway, I'm still waiting for some kind of information on what's the status of Garlock Road. It's been closed for a long, long time. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out how to put a road back together, maybe with some drain tiles. Anyway, so that's one thing I wanted to bring up. And then remember last meeting, I also brought up that when I was on the council the last time in the 2000s, I was the Kerncog rep, and we talked about the widening project of 395 and how that's been a project that has been put off and put off and put off and put off forever. Matter of fact, when I was on the council in the 80s, it was a project. And I was on Kerncog at that time, and they were talking about widening 395 through the valley. And I mentioned last meeting, they do have a completely designed widening project for 395 through the Indian Wells Valley. It's on the record, and they were proceeding with it. And at that time, it was supposedly maybe about a 5-year out project. Well, lo and behold, I get the list of projects from Kerncog this week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. The 395 widening project is now 2046. I don't know how many of us are going to be around in 2046. I don't think I will be. But remember, again, back in the 80s, they were talking about getting that done. But they kept deferring that project for projects over on the other side of the county in Bakersfield in that area. And they're still doing it. So I would ask the council and our rep to maybe to try and start doing something about that. I mean, I know I won't see it before I die, but it's just like, you know, we have people dying on that freeway. Skip, you know what the 395 project is all about.
I don't. Tom,
Yes.
when you mentioned widening 395,
Mm-hmm.
could you be more specific? So when I ask Kerncog about it, I can be specific enough that they'll light up like the star on the top of a Christmas tree
Okay.
and understand what I'm talking about.
I appreciate the question. Thank you. You know, we all know that 395 is a pretty dangerous road that people pass when there's solid lines and not solid lines, no passing areas and things like that. We see a lot of it also down south of here and where there's 2 lanes and people drive crazy on that road. Well, I'm not sure about any projects outside of Kern County, but I know that they were planning to do the project through the Indian Wells Valley from just a little bit north of 178 down south below China Lake Boulevard. And as a matter of fact, there's even an interchange designed at 395 and China Lake Boulevard. And it really is for the purpose of traffic safety, to help people travel that area safely through the area. So I hope that answers your question, but that's what it was all about.
Thank you.
Okay? So anyway, I guess we'll probably never see it, but who knows? Maybe somebody will finally be able to force them to do it. And I hope somebody up there can give me an answer about Garlock Road, and maybe I find Supervisor Peters wherever he's hiding, whatever desk he's under, get him out from under there and find out what's going on with that road. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We have someone on the phone. I think I see your green light. Okay.
What's going on?
Go ahead, caller.
Hello. Thank you, Tom.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is Mike Senat, and I'm not sure what to talk about. I think I'll talk about fraud and corruption and cover-ups. How's that? Some of you might be aware that in the next week on Monday, the Phase 2 trial for the comprehensive adjudication of the Indian Wells Valley groundwater basin takes starts. It's going to be a 3-week trial, and we'll call it. It's called essentially. This is going to be the trial that determines the safe yield in the Indian Wells Valley, and the safe yield has currently been established by the Groundwater Authority at 7,650 acre-feet per year. This number was established over 6 years ago in preparation of the Groundwater Sustainability Plan for the Indian Wells Valley. And it was the justification, this number, for categorizing the valley to be in critical overdraft. And furthermore, because the valley was in critical overdraft, the powers that be, i.e. the people sitting on the dais right now, and the city manager and former city manager and the city attorney, determined that they wanted to build a pipeline from California City all the way up here to the Indian Wells Valley to import water from the San Joaquin Valley. Well, I don't even know how to explain this to you. The trial briefs were released over the weekend, and the Indian Wells Valley Water District Technical Working Group, which is hydrogeologists, experts in their field, have not only determined that the safe yield in the Indian Wells Valley is between 14,300 acre-feet per year, conservatively, but as high as 15,400 acre-feet per year. And furthermore, it was disclosed that the Groundwater Authority has been covering up the fact that they lost the model called the DRI 2D model, which was used to determine all the characteristics of the groundwater basin in the first place. So they don't have a model. And none of the experts, either for the Groundwater Authority or for the Technical Working Group, have had an opportunity to test and analyze the data that was used to create the model, which was used to create the Groundwater Sustainability Plan. It's a fraud. It's been a fraud from day one. And they've been covering it up from the very beginning. They don't have anything to go on. And because they don't have a model, technically, according to state law, any of the opinions rendered by the experts from the Groundwater Authority are inadmissible in court. Now, they've been representing the Groundwater Authority, the water manager, have been representing that there is a model, and they've been working on it, and the other parties in this valley have been trying to get their hands on this.
30 seconds,
for 30 years. So I guess what I want to say before I have to hang up is that I can't believe, Councilman Heyman, that you would allow this to happen if you had knowledge that this model doesn't even exist. It vanished, and you've let this fiasco continue for the last 6 years. Shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Another one. We have another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Good evening, Council. My name is Richie Sayavong. I'm an outreach analyst at the California Department of Insurance. Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak today. I'm calling to respectfully request your support for a package of wildfire recovery and insurance reform bills currently under consideration at the state capitol. These measures are authored by Assembly members Mike Gibson, Lisa Calderon, and Senator Steve Padilla. They're focused on addressing ongoing recovery challenges in wildfire-impacted communities across California. The first bill is AB 1795, authored by Assemblymember Mike Gibson. It would establish clear public health standards for smoke-damaged homes. After a wildfire, many homes may appear structurally sound, but still contain hazardous smoke contamination. Without clear standards, homeowners often face delays, disputes, and uncertainty regarding remediation and insurance coverage. This bill creates clarity, protects public health, and helps streamline its recovery. The second bill is SB 876, authored by Senator Steve Padilla. It strengthens disaster recovery protections and expands living expense coverage. Families displaced by wildfires are often out of their homes for extended periods. This measure helps ensure residents have adequate coverage for temporary housing and related costs, reducing financial hardship during a time of crisis. The third bill is AB 1680, authored by Assemblymember Lisa Calderon. It reforms and increases accountability within the FAIR Plan. As more Californians turn to the FAIR Plan due to insurance market instability, it is critical that the program operates with transparency, sustainability, and stronger consumer protections. This bill aims to improve oversight and help stabilize the insurance market for wildfire-impacted communities. Together, these measures are designed to speed recovery, reduce coverage gaps, increase accountability, and strengthen long-term community resilience. Local government support is incredibly important in advancing these policies that directly impact residents. I do respectfully ask for your consideration and support. I'm happy to provide fact sheets on each of these bills along with a brief survey, and I will also welcome the opportunity to deliver a presentation at a future council meeting to provide a legislative update and answer any questions. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued commitment to protecting your community.
Richie, can you provide the bill numbers again? I think I got two. You have it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it?
We got it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Not a problem. Thank you. Good evening.
Oh.
Have a good evening.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Richie.
Thank you.
All right. Any more members of the public wish to comment on items not on the agenda? Okay. We will move on to council announcements and direction. Any member of the council have any announcements or direction other than just wanted to reiterate Flag Day? There's a guest speaker. I don't know if I can pronounce his name. Let me see if I can. Can you help me pronounce? Oh, all right. I think it's Solomon. So, that's a wonderful event. Understanding the flag, the history of the flag, what the flag stands for. I know as a former military member, that flag means a lot to me, whether it's encased or not. And so I absolutely love Flag Day. So that's just me being nerdy, but.
Also the Army's birthday.
Well, we don't have to get that excited.
Yeah, we still care. So 12 June, Food Truck Friday. It's going to be at the city this time, at Freedom Park. The goal is to have it to be a little bit cooler around the grass. And of course, for the everybody's probably read a lot or heard a lot about the 4th of July event. It's supposed to be pretty big. We're all pretty excited about it here. But I want to let everybody know that at the event, there's still a lot of different activities that people can sign up for, that kids can sign up for. Somebody can probably let the fire department know, Travis, about missing caps on fire hydrants. I know they go around routinely and inspect. Cleanup days, I was doing those pretty regularly, and then there was a couple other groups that took it over and were doing it, and we set up a page on the website. So if anybody wants to do a community cleanup, just go sign up there. We can get with Waste Management, get a roll off there, get gloves, trash bags, all that stuff, and they will provide that roll off, and the city will provide the rest, and even advertising out on social media. the Garlock Road question, Skip, I suppose you could tackle that at Kerncog, or we could tackle it at the infrastructure. I would have expected some kind of something to come out by now, but we could talk about it there. 1795 and 1680, I didn't, Travis, were you tracking any of those?
That is the first I've heard of those bills today.
Yeah, same.
I will gladly do some research.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's see.
Do you want to do that now?
Oh, yes, Kathy. So I don't know if you have a date or a time or a completion on these charging centers, but is that something that you know off the top of your head?
So I have some information on the charging centers. So the charging center is used as a fill-in project for the developer to keep his forces busy. They did complete and activate all the chargers. I know all the power upgrades have been done. So there's been 3 or 4 of those permits that have closed out, but they are still actively working towards completion of the building and the business or whatever they're going to put within that. I don't have an actual completion date. I can inquire. I know that the permits expire from 1 year from pulling them, so long as they sit idle for at least 6 months. But once you call on an inspection, and our inspection requirement is 1 every 6 months, it can continue that permit out. So I don't have an official date, but I can inquire and see what the projected completion date is.
Awesome, thank you. The only other thing I'll say during council announcements is that we have, and especially during the last meeting, the comments are great, and I think that the discourse is good, and that needs to continue on whatever the topic is, right? Because once this topic goes, there'll be other topics, and that's always how it goes at this council. I've seen over the years it goes up, it goes down. Sometimes we have nobody whatsoever. Sometimes you have it full, and that's all good. Those are very good. But what I don't think the public is always aware of is that sometimes, especially in the last meeting, if you start to talk about, especially a staff member, and those comments go over the line, way over the line, like they did in the last meeting, you can get past your free and protected speech and well into the civil court realm. And so you need to be aware that can happen. And so comments are welcome, absolutely. But the comments that were made about a staff member in the last council meeting were just way, way out of line. All right, thank you.
Anything? Councilman Gorman, any announcements or direction?
No.
All right. City manager, good? Okay, all right. Next, we will move to consent calendar. All items listed on consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. There is one consent item listed on the posted agenda. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? Okay, does any member of the public wish to have the item pulled? Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, we will move on to discussion or action item number 3. A resolution to amend a professional service agreement with Wildan Engineering in the amount of $203,290 for the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities AHSC Improvement Project to include additional professional engineering services. Terry, they came here for you. It's amazing.
That's why they're here. So the AHSC project is nearing completion. The construction is performed by Griffith Company. Construction and engineering services are performed by Wildan. During construction, there were changes and delays in the construction. For example, the storms in September, November delayed the project. There were changes. We had drain inlets where there was too many utilities in the ground, so we had to redesign that. Those are typical things that happened. Those caused additional work for Wildan, and it also delayed the construction contract. So what we want to do, we'd like your approval to amend the agreement with Wildan to pay for the extended time and the additional services they perform. So this is for $203,290. Their agreement would go up to $958,519. It would be from traffic impact funds, and we're requesting your approval to move forward with that.
Is any of the amount requested due to a penalty in the contract language of the delay? Is there?
No, these are justified delays. No,
Okay.
not.
So we're not penalized for
No, they are not.
Natural disasters.
They were justifiably delayed.
Okay.
And nothing that gets soaked up into the contingency?
This is for the engineering services, not the construction contract.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Any other questions, council? Is there any member of the public wish to comment or ask questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Terry. All right. Next to item number 4, council discussion regarding the RB in your current data center with potential direction to staff. Councilman Gorman.
Welcome all to our chat. A little housekeeping before we launch into it, please. You'll hear some stuff that you are enthusiastically in agreement with, and perhaps other stuff that you are dismayed by hearing. In either case, you're asked to react quietly. I see a lot of blue signs. Holding those up with a smile on your face would work in at least one case. I knew you guys would get it right off the bat. The subject is the proposed Inyo Kern data center, and the format is patience, civility, and graciousness. Many have opinions and questions, and some even have facts. Everybody has apprehension. Those are the ingredients of an interesting discussion. I'm happy to get things started and to keep things going and to chime in, especially if somebody forgets about our patience, civility, and graciousness format. This discussion could go on for an hour or so with a few golden moments of clarification, some time-wasting redundancies, too much optimism perhaps, or too much pessimism, questions that needed to be asked, and its natural share of retorts and barbs and plaudits serving to mortar the seams and fill the voids until one of us makes a motion, perhaps, for action, or this meeting's chairman calls the discussion ended for this evening to perhaps be continued for our next meeting with no action taken for the time being. However, this discussion may end tonight. What do you say we get started? And I will. The data center marketing material, which most of us have no doubt seen, includes glib assurances about low-flow, closed-loop coolant water thriftiness and high-tech, low electrical power efficiencies and low-decibel noise levels and dark night sky respectfulness and altogether unobtrusive ecological footprints. It reads like it was all written in blazing milliseconds by some smug, unaccountable AI program. Is that your impression, Councilman? And if we can't stop it, can we at least make it accountable? Should we be weighing in on this issue at this time? Councilman, your thoughts?
Anyone want to jump on it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we'll have comments before and after, and I think just to start it off, the one concern I share mostly is solely centered around resources. And while it may be out of our jurisdiction, where you start to cross streams is we're all sharing the same resources. I know that tentatively SCE has said something in the ether about being able to handle the power, but again, that's in the ether, in the noise. Water is the one thing I'm always concerned about. Everybody, I think, knows my stance on water and how passionate I am about that, so I won't dive directly into water, no pun intended, but that's a concern of mine. Dark skies, if memory serves, there is zoning and ordinance for Corn County, especially for our area, because being next to two airports, especially because of the F-18s and other aircraft that are coming in off the base. So that is something that I'm hoping Kern County is taking a hard look at, right? I have probably just hundreds of questions that I would love nothing more than to ask the developer. And we don't, of course, have the developer here, and I haven't had a meeting with them. I would love to do that. But I have a lot of questions that I don't think are fully fleshed out. So that's my kickoff.
All right, so I will say, the format of this is we're going to discuss, and then we're going to hand it off to you guys and let you guys ask questions, add more to what you guys have already said to us, and then we'll bring it back, and then we'll discuss again. But I guess, is there any way, Travis, that we can get a timeline of what the CEC application, what all that looks like?
So based on my knowledge, and just for council, for your benefit, we do have a representative from the data center that is online that will offer other interest in whatever their project is. From my understanding, what CEC is looking at right now is the completeness of the application. That is the first thing that we will see from them. They are right now the ones holding the reins, from the way I understand it. What I believe is either June 11th is when they will make a determination on whether or not the application is complete. And from that point, they have 180 days to make their recommendation or ask for changes or make a judgment on whether or not it can proceed with an SPPE exemption. So, and then I do believe that neighboring agencies and things of that nature would have the ability to comment on whatever the CEC's findings are 30 days, within a 30-day window from that time.
So one of those agencies would be the Kern County Planning Commission.
Kern County Planning would, and from my understanding, if granted the SPPE exemption, Kern County would be required to issue a conditional use permit for the property. So it will definitely be heard by their planning commission.
Okay. Anyone know if they have online viewing, or does that have to be in person in Bakersfield for Kern County Planning?
That I do not know, but I can do some research on that if council wishes.
Okay.
Travis, jumping in, as we're all invited to do, I was just in textual contact with Elizabeth Huber of the CEC and asked her the same question: what's the schedule for a review? And she answered in a lengthy sort of way, this process can take 12 to 18 months. That's what I have. I'd like to go down in granularity on that and find out what details of the approval process there are and how long each of those take. Perhaps if we have another chatting meeting like this, Elizabeth Huber, forgive me, can appear on the screen and join our discussion, answer a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yes, to add some more, just in case the public's not aware, there was an email shotgunned out. It was a shotgun blast from Ms. Huber, I believe.
Yes.
And it talked a little bit about the exemption as opposed to a full CEQA. And what she outlined in the email is that even if an exemption is granted, if the development goes beyond that limit that is held within the exemption, then it will have to adhere to a full CEQA after that, if there's any development after that. Just adding that for context.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything? Councilman Heyman, any comments?
No, I too had read the email from the CEC, and so I was hoping that that's been shared through a lot of the community here that's here tonight, because it does answer quite a few of the questions. One of the questions I had was in regards to the environmental reviews and a lot of the issues that are of concern. I mean, it appears that a lot of those are before the CEC currently and will be addressed, if I'm correct on interpreting this, and that after the 11th, we will hear if there's any corrective actions or issues from the CEC in regards to some of the very issues that I think everybody has voiced. And I think, myself, I have concerns, and so, but I think it's hard to make a real grounded decision until we hear back with some objective findings and information from the CEC in regards to some of these topics and issues that are concernable. So I look forward to the 11th or during that time frame where there'll be discussion back and forth. So.
Did you have much to, beyond which you've already said, to offer?
Yeah, number one, I want to thank, I'm probably going to botch the name of this group, but the Taxpayers for Accountability, something, I think. I wanted to thank you all for the time, the insight, the knowledge, the research, the effort put into getting the concerns into a discernible format. And I've read through those, and I think I share a lot of the same concerns. And so I wanted to thank you guys before you guys come up to comment that I know it's a lot of work that all of y'all have put into this to do a lot of the research and understanding this problem. I will say that while I was a professor, I used to bemoan California regulations. I would always tell my students that there's two states you probably don't want to live in. One is California because they overregulate everything. The other is probably Texas because they underregulate everything, and you can see that through their power grid. But I think as I dove into some of the information, I was amazed at the amount of environmental studies that were already conducted. The one that I was talking with an individual, they brought up was the thermal plume study. I did not know that that was a study. I see how that is an effect, especially with the increased temperature coming from a data center, and how that affects not only in your kern, but how it affects here, how it affects the base. It's a consideration that they are taking into account. I'm sure that there were probably plenty of other environmental studies done, and maybe we can ask the attorney for some of those. But yeah, I think really what I want to get out of this is I want to hear more, even though for the past 2 or 3 councils we've heard a lot from all of you, and we haven't been able to react. And so this is our opportunity where now we can have that discussion. And so if anyone else has anything, do we?
I'll chat for a moment. If you get a chance, and if Cody is here, you'll have an opportunity to approach the mic and give an opinion I think should be heard. But I've always felt that we out here have been, in the Mojave, have been the utility closet of Southern California. And ever since Mr. Mulholland came this way and drained the lake, and it's been downhill from that point. That bothers me a bit, and also some of the ways we have dealing with the intrusiveness of this Darth Vader Death Star that'll be casting its shadow over Inyokern, defy the way we've been measuring things. It's already came up, the idea of dark skies. That's an idea that is close to me. I've been harping about it and blogging about it for a long time, and yet the way the dark skies are prescribed is mostly by way of so many lumens per light, and the crown of the light to divert the light downward. Well, if it's if it's lots of lumens and they're being diverted downwards to a white or a very light colored building, it's all going up to drown out the stars. So the extent to which dark skies is observed with regard to data centers needs to be upgraded. That measurement needs to be refined so it makes sense in this context. And the same goes to noise. This is something I ran into when the motorcycles first started around the fairgrounds. I live right by there, and people did come out with decibel meters and showed me the numbers were within a prescribed level, and yet it depends on the frequency content, perhaps, of what the noise level is. I know a horse, when he's hearing a dirt bike around 125 cc's, perhaps bigger, really winding up, that sound is a horsefly right around that horse's ears, and they react accordingly. The noise levels need to be refined in a Fourier context, if you will, so that it makes sense. It's not just decibels. It's the frequency content and the granularity of those decibels. I think that most of the unknowns going through my head and going through those of my compatriots up here is we don't know enough about our water. I'm eager to hear of what comes out of the Phase 2 adjudication, though it's just a wild-ass guess by some judge. We get everything from 7,500 acre-feet per year sustainable yield to 14,000 acre-feet per year, which is right. How much can we live with? And if indeed the data center assures us that their nifty cooling technique won't be sucking more than 50 acre-feet per year from our fragile aquifer, are we to believe them? And if indeed it turns out that, there we go. Thank you. I don't. From what I read, other data centers use a lot more. And of course, we're on the instep of that hockey stick as far as the technology curves are going. The technology, the cooling technology is racing forward, I'm sure, making wonderful progress, as is the single-digit nano lithography that these NVIDIA chips are coming out with. They light up red hot when they're clipping along. And they need to be cooled or they stop working. And there's a trade-off in a data center, I understand, the newest ones, between cooling and power usage. As cooling facilities ebb, that is, as the water needs to be throttled back because they're using too much, they need to up the power level going into the data center. Because maybe they're using a slightly different technique, refrigeration or whatever you will. I'm no expert. And there's a trade-off there that may affect us. And somehow along the line, Southern California Edison will be supplying 1 or 2 115 kilowatt subservices to this center or these centers. I'm still not sure whether we're talking about 1 or 2. Something came up recently, and I think, Kitty, you may have been on the receiving end of that suggests, oh, we were wrong about 2, we really meant 1. If you can share with us what you know and where you got the information, you'll have an opportunity soon, so don't be shy.
So maybe what we can, so I have two questions. First, Martin, what with the item as it's listed, right? Potential direction to staff. What can we accomplish or hope to accomplish with this discussion action item? Is there bounds?
Well, council has put this item on the agenda to provide the opportunity for the public to address you, to speak about the item. I think, again, we're still in a council meeting, or a town hall meeting, so it's a public comment. You receive it from everybody who wants to speak on the subject. And based on what you hear, based on what you already know, you can direct staff as to what you want them to do, whether it is to monitor and see what happens after June 11th, whether it's to send a letter to the county about the things that council member was talking about, the noise, changing the noise levels or changing the light levels.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to direct staff to do that. Now, recognizing several things. One, city does not have any regulatory authority over the project. We have the power to comment once the CEC puts out their position on this. And then we do have the ability to request or ask of the county, of the developer.
Okay.
But again, that is simply a request. We do not control or can't mandate what occurs in this situation.
So the second thing, if we have the attorney on the line, maybe we can ask them questions, some of the same questions that you brought up, and maybe we can get right to that if council's good with that. So that if there's any questions that we can just direct to the attorney on the screen.
Sure. Yeah, I have so many more comments that I think I could probably address later. But if we want to get into the meat of it and people want to make their comments, that's fine.
I mean, if you have more statements that you want to make, feel free, but I think.
Yeah, well, I guess I want to address one of the overall concerns that I think needs to be said, and that is that most people, when you hear data center, you are worried, you are concerned, because if you're paying attention to national news and it is a national conversation, you've seen where data centers had rolled into rural areas and they end up forcing the community to socialize the infrastructure cost. That's a concern. That's the problem. And so And that is the one biggest thing I am worried about, right? I think most things can be mitigated. You can work with zoning, you can work with all these, you can work with the county, you can work with the state, and I think that's all great. That's beautiful. I think what most people are concerned about, and I can't speak for everybody, but I know what I'm concerned about at least, is that's the concern. The concern is you see infrastructure costs going up, you see power costs, water costs going up exponentially when that was never the intended and it's not what you were sold. So I think that the real hard conversations, and that what I hope we do as a council and that we direct staff to do, is to our staff be in the business of, the state and the county staff. Because that's where real work gets done. Real work does not get done with politicians. Real work gets done with staff members. And so being in their business and making sure we're monitoring what's going on, having, understanding the calendar, understanding the schedule, and holding them accountable. That way, let's just say, whatever happens, right? Even if the data center ends up, they decide, whoever the developer is, they decide not viable, okay. Not viable, they don't come in. Let's just say they do make all the wickets. We want to make sure we're paying attention when we can raise the flag. So that was maybe the last of my comments before the end.
Okay. Councilman Heyman or Rajaratnam, anything before we turn to the Sean on the screen?
Couple of things,
Yes. Yes.
Is that person
5 minutes allotted to the public members here in this auditorium? Because it will definitely be a speech in favor of this project. So I don't think you should have more than 5 minutes, the same that we did.
I understand that concern. I do understand that concern, but I also want us to be able to ask the questions to get answers for the concerns that we have, that we've heard from you for the last month and a half, so that we can get some of those answers, whether or not you find them agreeing or that they're sugar-coated, but at least to hear. Listen, we've heard a lot against. I don't think that in the time that we've been here, we've had anyone come up and be for it. So we've heard a lot of one side. And so for at least a little bit of balance, and I'll put that in quotes sake, I would find it beneficial to hear another side of the story. I understand your stance.
Mayor,
Public can't hear.
So
it's not time for public comment just yet, sir. Mayor, you do have the ability to allocate time. You can even, and under some circumstances, basically say, okay, everybody for gets a half hour, everybody against gets a half hour. That's not what I'm suggesting that happens, but you do have the ability to allocate and vary from the normal 5 minutes. For example, depending on how many people wish to speak, you can decrease that time from 5 minutes to 2 or 3, as long as it's applied equally to the speakers here. That's not a violation of any right or Brown Act.
Okay. So, Council, are we good to ask our questions of Sean? Are we good with that? Anyone else have any comments?
I just kind of a quick comment. So I'm happy to see the signs as a representative for the City Council on the Groundwater Authority. And I do like the fact that people are concerned about our water in this valley and a sustainability future for us, for our kids. I've lived here for 40-something years. I have 10 grandkids here. I take it very seriously. The Groundwater Authority is in a similar boat. It is on, as far as I know, it is on. I haven't got the agenda out yet, but or sent to me. But it is it was stated at the last meeting that it would be on the agenda to discuss from the Groundwater Authority's position, and will be addressed. So I can assure you that the Groundwater Authority will discuss it. I'm sure many of you will probably be there to address questions in regards to the water. Welcome it. So it is a concern for this valley as a whole, not in Inyo Kern. I know we have a jurisdiction of the city, but the GA, the valley as a whole covers Kern County, parts of Inyo, parts of San Bernardino, and Ridgecrest, and basically our entire whole community, as a whole unit. So, but so that's pretty much my assessment on where anything stands at this point. I can't really address it because the board has not met yet. So, but on the second Wednesday of the month, I believe that's 11th of June, we will be meeting and discussing it. So,
all right. So, Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
On the screen, or you just hear me?
We just hear you.
So I can get video going.
There we go. Now we see.
Yeah, great.
All right.
Glad I will make this work. So, good evening, Sean Endicott.
Would you be able to spell your name for the newspaper and introduce yourself, I guess?
SeanHungerford. Sean Hungerford.
Okay. And if you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we can ask questions.
Sure. We have a few short comments, and then I'll answer questions to the extent that I can. So first of all, Mayor Endicott, members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm representing R&L Capital, the developer of the Inyo Kern Data Center project. We just want to make a few brief points to start with. But first of all, I want to make the point that R&L Capital is a local company. I make this point because I want to dispel any notion that this is a faraway developer. This is not a Wall Street hedge fund or mega corporation. They're the opposite of that. The company's owners live locally, grew up locally, invest locally. As a couple of examples, they're the developer for the Inyokern Solar Project, which is next to the airport, just next door to the project site. That project, which was commissioned in 2024, is the largest non-utility owned community solar project in the country. It supplies clean energy to more than 2,000 households. They also are in the process of developing a 48-unit affordable housing development in Trona for low-income households and veterans. I make these points because this is, again, a local company with a vested interest in making sure that this is a project that benefits the community. The second thing I want to raise is to dispel any myth that this is a project that's not going to go through a full CEQA review. We want this project to be done right. It's important to the company that it be done in a completely transparent way. That's why when they filed their application with the California Energy Commission last month, they went to great lengths to include technical studies on all of the issues that would typically be part of a CEQA analysis, and then some. The 1,300-page application, for those who've read it, included 20 technical studies. Water supply assessment was part of it. Biological studies, air quality, noise, and everything else you can think of. And they did this precisely because they anticipated the public would have questions about the project, like the folks in this room. So what happens going forward? This came up a few minutes ago. So the California Energy Commission will, first of all, they have to deem the application complete, as you guys have mentioned a moment ago. Then they'll be preparing a CEQA documentation for the project. And just like any CEQA review, there'll be an opportunity for public comment, to review, to submit comments and offer information. And then after the CEC completes its review, that's when it goes to local agencies. So Kern County would then take up the reins for approving use permits, the specific plan amendment, among other approvals. And so there would be an additional opportunity for members of the public to present before Kern County. So the takeaway here is that this is a completely transparent process. We're very, very early in that process, but over the next, let's say, 6, 12, 18 months, there will be multiple opportunities for members of the public and members of the Ridgecrest community to be heard. Third point that we want to make is we want the public to consider the economic stimulus effects of this project. The construction process is going to employ roughly 1,600 people over a 3+ year period. There'll be up to 60 permanent positions after that, and we're expected to generate about $6 million in tax revenue every year without requiring any taxpayer investment. So in short, the economic impact.
Sorry, Sean, can you, hold on. If you guys can keep it a little quiet so that we can at least hear him.
Thank you. Yeah, so the economic effects of this project, the positive effects, will be profound. And I think that's one of the reasons that this project has the support of labor, including electrical workers, operating engineers, and several other unions, which I believe may be present here tonight, or some of them. But this is also a project endorsed by the State Building and Construction Trades Council of the state, which represents over 450,000 skilled workers. So just to close off these comments, we had every reason to think this is a project that's going to generate a lot of interest, a lot of community engagement, and we know that the Ridgecrest community is a key part of that. We do look forward to addressing these concerns as part of the public review process in the coming months. But on top of that, we're paying very, very close attention. We have a website that we've put up, which is rbinyokernddatacenter.com. I suspect that most folks in the room have already looked at it. We're taking notes in this meeting, taking notes of the comments and questions that people have, the concerns that people have. And we're going to be updating that website real time to try to address those concerns, as well as to address those concerns through the public review process. So those are my initial comments. I'm happy to take questions. I will say that on technical issues, I'm not exactly the guy to ask questions about. I will do my best to respond to them, but in large part, I'm going to be writing them down so we can deal with those later.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sean, this is Kyle Blades. Do you have a rough timeline of events? And I know that nobody tracks timeline like lawyers, right? So I'm sure you have it.
Yeah, and this is also an unpredictable timeline. As was pointed out earlier, I believe by Mr. Reed, we have a completeness review process that runs in about another 9 or 10 days on the 11th. And if the California Energy Commission deems the application complete, and hopefully they will because it's quite extensive, then they'll begin that 180-day process of reviewing the project. That would be followed by their environmental review, and then ultimately this would go before the California Energy Commission to decide whether or not to grant the exemption. So I think the quote that was offered earlier is 12 to 18 months. That's probably not too far off. That's, I would say, typical for a CEQA process involving this level of detail, and it's probably a fair estimate. Following that, then it would go to local agencies, including Kern County. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Initially, we heard one data center, and later, we were listening to 2 data centers, one within a mile or so of the first one. Just recently, some words appeared in the social media that it's back to 1. Could you clarify that? Are we talking about 1 data center or 2?
Yes, council member, I'm aware of only one data center. An application for only one data center has been submitted to the California Energy Commission, and I'm not aware of, I've heard also those social media reports, half of that sitting through the first half hour or so of this agenda item. So we'll do our best to run those down and see if we can answer those, but I'm only aware of one application in one data center.
Thank you.
Yes, so if I can just expand on that. Yeah, Sean, there was talk of scaling the data center to a possible something else in the future. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not.
Thank you.
I guess one of my questions is, I know probably the reports are online in the submitted application, but can you talk to, from what the reports have shown, the power usage and water usage expected? And yeah, we'll just start with that.
Yeah, Mayor Endicott, again, I prefer not to. I would just prefer to refer people back to the application, only because, again, I'm not a technical expert on those things. I've practiced enough in environmental law to know a little about a lot, but I'm not an expert on noise or water usage. But I do know, because I've reviewed the application, that there's a ton of data on those issues there. And I know that in general, this project is going to use a lot less water than some of the kind of horrific reports that we've seen in social media and in the news as far as the amount of water consumed by some data center projects. This is not one of those. But as far as the technical details, I would prefer to refer people back to the application itself.
So since you mentioned the environmental, can you touch on some of the environmental studies that have already been done? I knew of the thermal plume.
The thermal plume study, that also is a new one to me because I had not seen a thermal plume study before. But the standard stuff that you typically see in a CEQA document, which is present here, there's air quality technical analysis, there's a biological impacts analysis. So any sensitive species or special status species or plants that might exist within the area are addressed. Noise analysis is part of it. There's a water supply assessment that analyzes the water usage and the source of that water. It's required by state law. And I could go on down the line, but those are the key ones that come to memory. I'd have to crack the application and look at the rest, but they are all there.
Okay.
I have a question in regards to the water and the plan that was used to integrate into your development plan as far as the county versus the groundwater sustainability plan of the valley. Which one was used, and basically that's the question.
I wish I could give you an answer. I will writing down the question and we'll do our best to respond to it. but I don't have that level of detail regarding the technical reports or the basis for the water supply assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope you can appreciate this also this is fairly early in the process. It's unusual in my experience, I think most folks in my position, to see this level of interest in community engagement this early in the process, right? Typically, these are questions that we would be, let's say loaded for bear to answer towards the end of the environmental review process, not in the application stage when we don't have a complete application yet. So we're doing our best to respond to questions in real time. We'll continue to do that.
I think it's safe to say we sit at a valley with China Lake and many decades of families that live here that are pretty intelligent and have a pretty scientific mindset. So I think the level, I'm just speaking with in regards to other issues in the basin too. I think you'll find they're very interactive and concerned about their community. So let's just leave it at that.
No, I appreciate that. I think that everyone's going to hold this project to a very high standard, and that's something we anticipate. So we're looking forward to meeting that.
Councilman Rajaratnam.
Yeah. This is Councilmember Solomon Rajaratnam. I have heard so many comments which are against this project and read zillions of emails which were against this project. And I basically understand it is because of the quality of life which they are going to sacrifice. What are the benefits you can tell about this project which would outweigh the negative factors that is going to bring to the community of Inyokern?
With all due respect, Councilmember, I think you're asking for a policy determination that's really in the purview of public decision makers to answer, as far as whether and why the benefits of a project outweigh the potential impacts of that project. And I also think that's something that needs to wait until the end of the environmental review process, which is going to take into account not only the environmental impacts of the project, but also the benefits of the project.
Thank you.
Councilman Gorman, any other questions?
I would thank Sean for his participation at this time and invite the public to express themselves. And perhaps if Sean wants to hang back and troll the activities, he may feel compelled perhaps to jump in with some clarification if he likes. What do you think?
Well, let's see if is there any other questions or comments from the council? I want to make sure we've kind of had our moment here since it's not that long. And
No, that's fine.
Good. All right. So we'll go ahead and move to the public comment section. I'm not going to limit your time. I advise you to have the comments directed at us, and then we can engage with Sean, if we have 18 people coming up and saying the same thing, I mean, let's just try and be efficient with our time, because I know all of you probably want to be home as well, but I'm here for it. So whoever would like to start, we can begin.
While he's walking up to the microphone, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I have a feeling that we'll have a series of these types of chats, each with a different guest, either the CEC or some staffy, upper-level staffy in Kern County, or any number of individuals. So
we can try.
Let thee know that this won't be your last time to bring up this issue and for this clarification to occur. Is it? You can see how spontaneous we are with this.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Holt. I'm Vice President of the Kern, Inyo, and Mono Counties Building Trades Council. I thought it was appropriate to jump up here after Sean's comments because he referenced our relationship on the construction and maintenance of the project. We have 24 affiliated crafts with over 6,000 members that we represent. Over 1,000 of those members are indentured apprentices, getting all the training opportunities that projects like this will afford. Many of our members are Eastern Kern residents, and many live here in Ridgecrest, and I mentioned Inyo and Mono County as well. So obviously the benefits for us is the jobs, right, and the economic benefits. And one thing I think it's always important to point out in a meeting like this is the multiplier effect, right? They say a dollar that's earned in a community is spent 8 times, right? We get our haircut and buy soccer cleats for our kids and take the family out to breakfast. And so the size of this project, construction-wise, was mentioned, 1,200 construction workers for 4 years. That's not a small thing. These are all union wages, mortgage paying, health benefits, pension, all of those great things also. I see also some training directors for our apprenticeships in the audience, so you might hear some tonight about those workforce development and training opportunities for the youth of Ridgecrest and surrounding areas. The developer has committed to stringent local workforce requirements, which is different than a lot of projects you might see around when you drive by. I mean, nothing frustrates me more as a Kern County resident to drive by a big project and see all the out-of-state license plates on the trucks out there. And so with the agreement that we have with the developer that this project is not going to be one of those. There's also a lifetime maintenance agreement. So again, Kern County residents will be able to work on this project as long as it's around. So a lot of misinformation out there. Everyone that has a phone can see kind of what's floating around. I would hope that those would allow the good people at the Energy Commission and the County of Kern Planning Department to do the work. As mentioned, there's going to be a very transparent process moving forward. And again, I appreciate allowing me to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
What percentage of the workforce must be local? Ridgecrest, Inyo, Kern, Mona, what percentage?
Okay.
Okay.
If I may, when you come up to the microphone, if you could adjust it to your mouth, because it's hard for people to hear in the studio, but also online. So if you could adjust the mic when you come up, we'd appreciate it.
I'm a little nervous. This is a big crowd and online. My name's Dana Thompson. I'm a born and raised Ridgecrest resident. Like every born and raised Ridgecrest kid, I left town in 2012 and came back a few years ago when I realized big city living wasn't all it was cracked up to be. And one of the things I've always empathized with in this city is the need for economic development above and beyond the base. The base is great, brings well-paying jobs in, but let's be honest, that's a specialized field, and not everybody is specialized to work out there. With the loss of Cerril's Valley and the jobs that are left there, there's going to be a hole in this community for high school level graduates that needs to be filled. So when this data center was announced, it was tough for me because I've usually rooted for something to come into town. I rooted for the casino, I rooted for the prison. I was upset to find out that in the 80s, this town let Toyota go without a manufacturing plant. However, I have to oppose this data center. There is enough feedback from the communities that have allowed these to enter their neighborhoods to know that this is not a good idea. No one is jumping for joy about the economic development brought by these data centers. We don't see huge booms occurring in these communities where these data centers are being built. In fact, it is overwhelmingly the opposite, where they are shutting them down, they are putting moratoriums on them, and they are not allowing any more to be built. And jobs, 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 very important. And God, I wish I could get behind this project and the jobs that it'll bring. But for 4 years, you'll bring 1,200 workers, you'll develop the community. Then you leave, you flip that switch and you turn it on. And what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong about the water consumption? What if you're wrong about the electrical use? Then what? You drain our water table, you take what's left, and you leave the community to deal with the fallout. There are so many other avenues for economic development. Ms. Crutcher gave a fantastic presentation about the tourism of this valley. And God, I would love to see that embraced. I would love to see billboards advertising Ridgecrest in our beautiful backyards. Personally, I would love to see this council push for remote workers to be recruited to come into town, of which I am one. I brought my job, I moved back home, I spend money in this community, I rent, I shop locally, I started my own local volunteer group, and guess what? I just get to give back economically. I firmly believe that this data center is not the path forward. There's too much of a risk for a long-term gain of 60 jobs at best. And I really sincerely hope that this council will submit a letter of opposition to the CEC before it goes under review to let them know where we stand from the get-go. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Good evening, council members. My name is Anthony Osby, and I'm the director of the Electrical Training Alliance of Kern County, which is an apprenticeship that's responsible for training electricians in our local industry. So I'm here tonight in support of the data center. One of our biggest challenges for any apprenticeship program is making sure that we have enough work opportunities and available projects to support the next generation of skilled workers. And when contractors have work, we bring in more apprentices. When there are more projects being built, more local residents have the opportunity to enter our apprenticeship program and start a career in the electrical industry. So projects like this don't just create jobs for people already in the trade, they also help create opportunities for those people who are looking for a path into the middle class. So our apprentices spend 5 years learning the trade. Many of them work during the day, they come to classes at night. In order to advance them through the program, they need real job site experience, and they need projects where they can apply what they're learning in the classroom and continue to develop their skills. Beyond the immediate contract or construction jobs, projects like this help strengthen the apprenticeship pipeline that supplies our industry with skilled workers. And the apprentices who enter the trade because of opportunities like this, they exist to become journeyman foremen, project managers, estimators, contractors that our industry depends on in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anthony.
Good evening, council members and fellow citizens. My name is James Wecker. My family has owned property in Inyo Kern for 40 plus years and continue to do so. And I wanted to somewhat continue and double down on the first speaker that this isn't our first time at the rodeo. And while we're having a discussion and we're fact-finding and the council is being very careful to, present options and listen and so forth, there is a national experience that is already taking place. This isn't the first data center. This isn't the first discussion. This isn't the first end result of what may happen. I spoke the first time a month ago that this isn't hyperbole, this isn't possibility, it's reality. And the national discussion that is taking place, as the first speaker said, is that these data centers, everyone went running, racing down the road. Oh, we're going to bring in money and sparkly shiny and tax revenues and jobs and all of this wonderful stuff in tech and AI. And what they were left with is a dumpster fire of environmental waste, economic waste, livelihood wasted, to the point of the very first speaker in the evening about the development and bringing people here. Everything she talked about is pointless and worthless if you have no drinkable water or no water, period. If the citizens that live here can't afford to live here, because the facts are that the utilities go up to the ratepayers 20 to 40%. That's not unknown to us, it's fact. Then you have water issues. There are municipalities racing to put moratoriums in place or outright bans to stop this, because what sparkly shiny, what they thought it would be, was the complete opposite. What they got and what they were sold were two different things. So there's no need for this, and it's not in any way a slight to Mr. Hungerford or the local clients that he represents. The issue should be you're wanting to invest in something that you already have a proven track record on, meaning US, other municipalities, and the impact, the negative impact. Place that money in other jobs that would create sustainable, long-term opportunity in this valley where tradespeople and the fellow citizens can participate in a way. There was a Toyota factory. I'm aware of the fact there was a Walmart distribution center. All of these types of opportunities were poo-pooed by this body. It may not be you that are sitting here, but the city council turned them away, said no. But yet, what we asked a month ago was for this body to take a position, take a stand. The citizenry is speaking facts from experience, from known results. And we're asking you to hear our voices and say no. Take a stand, and while to the city manager or the city attorney, pardon me, yes, this body doesn't have jurisdictional authority. Okay. But again, if what's happening in other municipalities in this country happens here, you won't have to worry about it. You won't have a job. You won't have a position. And this community will cease to exist. It's a choice. I implore you to speak up loudly now, get in front of it. Not waiting. There's no need to wait. You see what's happening. It's a national discussion. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, James.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Is that too loud? Perfect, okay. My name is Rene Palacios, and I'm a 37-year member and business agent for the Ironworkers of Local 433. And I'm here tonight to express my support for the RB Inyo-Kern Data Center project and the continued discussion of its potential benefits to this community. For nearly 4 decades, I have worked in the construction industry and have seen firsthand the positive impact that responsible development projects can have on working families and local communities. Projects like this can create real opportunities, not only for today's workforce, but for the next generation entering the skilled trades. Ironworkers of Local 433 is currently training over 700 apprentices who are looking for opportunities to gain valuable on-the-job experience while building careers they can be proud of. These apprentices are learning a skilled trade, earning while they learn, and preparing to become a highly trained workforce that will help build and maintain California's future infrastructure. Our members are hardworking, law-abiding citizens. They are mothers, fathers raising families. They are coaches mentoring young athletes, volunteers serving their communities, and role models for future generations. They take pride in their work, their safety, and in building projects the right way with professionalism, craftsmanship, and accountability. The RB Inyo-Kern Data Center project represents more than just a construction project. It represents economic opportunity, workforce development, and investment in the future of this region. As discussions continue, I encourage the council and the community to carefully consider the opportunities for this project may bring to local workers, local businesses, and future generations. Thank you for your time to hear from all the stakeholders and for your consideration of this important project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee. All right. Okay. So hey,
Can we be,
yeah. So
My error.
I'm going to reiterate what Councilman Gorman said at the beginning. If we can continue to be respectful as we do this, I understand you have strong beliefs and stances on this, but just as if you're up there speaking, you want people to be respectful for you. Let's try and adhere to some sort of civility as we're going through this process. So, thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and residents of Ridgecrest. My name is Johnny Escobedo, and I'm a 35-year iron worker, reinforcing iron worker from Local 416. I'm also the current business agent. I want to express strong support for the construction of the new data center here in Ridgecrest. This project represents tremendous opportunities for your community. First and foremost, it will create numerous well-paying mortgage-supporting jobs for your residents. These are not just any jobs. They offer livable wages and can help local families thrive and build stable futures. The data center will also foster a strong, skilled workforce by investing in training and development programs. This means our workers will gain valuable skills that open doors to long-term career paths, especially with union trades, and uphold fair wages and safe working conditions. Moreover, this project will stimulate your economy, attracting related businesses and boosting community investment. It's a forward-looking initiative that helps future-proof our workforce by aligning with growing technology sectors. I urge the council to support this development, which promises to bring sustainable economic growth and positive career opportunities to Ridgecrest. You know, I'm a 35-year iron worker. So, with that being said, since 1998, when I started, I have come and I've worked here at the naval base. I've stayed in hotels here. I've purchased groceries here. I've contributed to your economy. You know, I understand that there's concern. I understand that there's concern with everything that's going on with the current data centers. There's ways to go about this and to be cordial to everybody. We can hear everybody's side. We can hear the resident side. You guys can hear our sides. You know what? We're not here to push anything on anybody. We're just here to try to get you to understand that this is an opportunity for the younger generations, you know, to come in and learn skilled trades. You know, AI is taking over everything. I heard a resident mention, you know, bringing in Walmart, bringing in those facilities, all the distribution centers. Who do you think is manning those now? AI. Construction workers are building them. Construction workers are maintaining them. Maintenance people are maintaining them. But who's actually doing all the work? It's machinery. It's not human beings. I know that the residents here of Ridgecrest are concerned for what's to come, but we need to work together to be able to build a future for our future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Before we get to you, I think that there's a green light behind
There
you,
is,
Siri,
yeah.
and there's someone on the phone.
Construction workers are
Okay.
maintaining.
Go ahead, caller.
All right, my name is Mike Sanat. Thank you for taking my call. I'd like everybody to ask the question, why do we need all these data centers? I think they're talking about right now 3,000 or 4,000 nationwide. And I'd also like to point out that the number one issue I heard this November will be AI and data centers. It's a national issue, and it's easy to object to the data center on the basis of the environment and consumption of electricity and water, but I think people are smart enough to know that it's not just about that. I put up a post. I read a book and met the author. It's called The Greatest Betrayal in Human History, and it's about AI technocracy and how our country, our government, has essentially been taken over by a group of AI tech oligarchs and they're investing so much capital in these data centers and in this AI system that they're borrowing money from each other, and in the next year and a half, they're going to be, in a couple, almost, $1.5 trillion. And this isn't anything like the tech bubble of 2000, the internet bubble. This is much larger. And already we're hearing about companies that are implementing AI in various ways because they think they need to. And they're spending so much money on tokens and not getting any observable results that they're all over the board as far as the potential damage to society and the country and the employment of white collar workers. I can understand why all the building trades are all for it, but they need to maybe consider the broader implications of what their proponents are, the unions and so forth. There's no reason that they need to be at the forefront of trying to push these buildings. So the book is called The Final Betrayal. It's by Patrick M. Wood. I put a link to it on the post that I just put up tonight at roadrunner395.com. And I'd like to close by reminding one of the issues that the mayor had and that we all had, many of us had, about Placer AI, which is essentially a real-time data broker. They gather GPS location data and all sorts of other user data from multiple sources. And the sources of data gatherers are called publicly available information and commercially available information. And the commercially available information is the information that's gleaned from your Facebook account and all these social media sites and where you buy things, credit card companies, etc. And they use that information in conjunction with GPS data to literally track where you're going, where you sleep, and what you buy. And when you think about license plate readers, essentially the same thing. It's a tracking system and an identification system. They know who you are, where you're going.
30 seconds, Mike.
When you combine all that in an AI data center, what we're doing is creating what I call a digital panopticon. And a panopticon is a circular prison, multi-storied circular prison with a guardhouse in the middle that monitors all the prisoners 24/7. So there's a lot of reasons to be concerned and alarmed about this technology. And I think what we're doing here is a start. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Ma'am.
Okay, it can be mouth, I'm short, sorry. So I just wanted to quickly get up here, and I promise I'll be quick because I hate a meeting that should have been an email, like loathe. Couple things, just a couple quick things. I am a daughter of union workers, right? My mom was a teacher, I'm a teacher. My brother-in-law is an elevator mechanic. My dad was a building inspector, right? But my dad and my brother-in-law have to live in Las Vegas because they have those things, right? And so I understand, like, we want jobs, but these union workers are gonna be here for 4 years and leave, right? So just keep that in mind. But it's okay, we support them, we love them, anyway. But I also want to say thank you to guys for hearing both sides because I think it's important for us to be balanced. However, I do wanna say, one thing I wanna ask of the council is that maybe we do some sort of crowdsourcing of the questions the community would like to ask the data centers and see if we could set up some sort of Q&A where maybe you guys ask the questions, but because when they said, oh, we have these 60 permanent jobs, I was dying and jumping out of my seat to ask them what type of jobs, how much would these people make, what kind of degrees, you know what I mean? Like, we need to know what kind of, are they security? Are they, what kind of jobs are they going to be? So I would like those kind of questions answered. And so I would like to see that. What I would also like to see is us supporting Inyo Kern and any type of moratorium, any type of ordinances that we can pass to, about noise and water usage, strict water usage, to maybe possibly deter them from coming. As well as, summer vacation did not have my pencil with me. I apologize. Sorry. And I would also like to see and have you guys maybe assign someone to see if there's a way for us to do any type of independent third-party testing as well, because they are obviously going to come up with one number, but we know that two people can go on the same fact-finding mission and come up with different outcomes. So it would just be nice if we could have the city of Ridgecrest look into the same things, environment, water usage. He says that the water usage will be different, but can't tell us how. So I feel like those are the things that we need to go on fact-finding missions ourselves, and have maybe an independent third party do it, so that it's not just data center says it's going to be cool, right? And so that's something that I would hope that you guys would consider doing, and including the power grid and what we can handle. I mean, back in October of 2024, a bird supposedly hit a line which caused my house to have a surge, and I lost my dishwasher, my air conditioning unit, my garage opener. I live in Ridgecrest Heights off of North Sunland Drive. And so I can't imagine how that can happen. A bird can take my house down like that, but we're going to be able to have a data center, right? So I would just love to see us maybe do some of that. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll leave it at that.
right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tammy Pounds. I am a resident of Ridgecrest. My great-grandparents came here in the 40s. So if anyone has a vested interest of what happens here, it's someone that is a longtime resident, someone that owns property, someone that has invested, that could have gone other places, but has chosen to be here, to set down roots here, to be involved in the community here. Speaking of community, I want to thank all of you that have come out. Brings my heart like so much joy to see people that I know out here supporting making their voices heard. So it's interesting to me that this data center is proposed for Inyo Kern, which, how many residents do we have in Inyo Kern? Maybe less than 1,000, or right about 1,000. Regardless of whether it is Inyo Kern or Ridgecrest or Randsburg, this is our valley, the whole total of our valley. Thank you. One of the things that I think that we take pride in here is not only just our community and the tightness of our community, but also the fact that we have clean water to drink, that we have beautiful night skies, that we have clear skies, that it's not like when we go 2 hours into Bakersfield when you can hardly see, or 2 hours into the other direction when you go into LA, and it's so foggy and smoggy and just yuck. It's always nice to get back here. Are we willing to jeopardize that? I was impressed by our iron worker friends that are here with us tonight. They had a nicely typed out speech. The young man that will follow me, we both decided we're just going to speak from the heart. So, speaking from the heart, I say no to this data center. We need to do everything we can to not let it come here. We don't really need it anywhere, but we definitely don't need it here in our valley. So no to that, because it's going to bring minimal jobs at best. I know it will bring some iron workers, some people, and some apprentices, and they're going to get some experience and exposure here, and that's great. But then, for the majority of them, they're going to pick up and leave. And we will be left with the damage, whatever that is. Are we willing to risk it? We are not. So, my question to you is, have any of you been to a data center, an up and running, functioning data center?
I have not.
Anyone else?
I haven't been to one, but I drove by one that I figured out in Vegas that about a week ago, that was absolutely a monster, huge.
Okay.
But other than that, it's been a learning curve on data centers in this last 3 weeks.
That's true. Anyone else?
Yeah, same. I've driven by the one in Vegas, huge, enormous. I think it's actually grown.
It's,
Yeah.
That's it?
Have you been to a data center?
I have not. I have not. But there have been enough people. I feel like we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to see how it's going to go here to know that in other places it's been bad. That it's noisy, that it pollutes the air. We don't need those particulates in our air, in our clean air. So maybe I would suggest that you can go on a little road trip and go and see an actual functioning data center to see for yourself, to talk to the people that live there, both sides. Again, the people that are working for the data center and the people that have to tolerate it. And see if it is really something that we want to put our backing behind. I mean, at this point, I would prefer a casino come in. I would even prefer a prison to come in rather than a data center. There are other ways that we can infuse development into our community besides this. And I hope that you will help to facilitate that not happening here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
Hello, Ridgecrest. My name is Maverick Baker. I've lived here my whole life. My grandpa and my grandma, they came here when they were like really little, way younger than me. Yeah, so they know how this is. They pretty much built this community. But I feel like this data center, my bad, won't help us in the way that they say it will. They say that it's going to take a little bit of water, but how do we know that that's true? How do we know? I feel like we should run like our own tests, like people have said. But I also feel like, yeah, it will bring in workers, but only for a short time, and then we're going to have minimum 60, permanent jobs. 60 people, that's pretty much all that's in here. And this isn't even part of Ridgecrest community. This is less than 1%. It's just not worth it. It's not worth our time, our money, and all of our investments. Thank you so much for my time.
Thank you, Maverick.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. You are an outstanding young man.
Renee West-Delusk. I live within Ridgecrest city limits. I wanted to bring attention to the city council about an article that was written in the Bakersfield Californian by two longtime authors, John Cox and Lois Henry. And Lois Henry also has her own publication called the San Joaquin Valley Water publication. In that article, it gave a summary of the two city council meetings ago, and at the end of the article, it was describing a little bit about R&B. It said, the R&B Inyakern water supply assessment doesn't include the Indian Wells Valley groundwater plan, which was approved by the Department of Water Resources. Instead, it includes the outdated 2022 version of the Kern Subbasin groundwater plan, which was rejected by the state and has nothing to do with the Indian Wells Valley aquifer. And for your information, here's a map of the Kern Subbasin. It includes Bakersfield, Rosedale, Wasco, Shafter, McFarland, Delano, Lost Hills, Taft, Arvin, just to mention a few of the communities there. So my problem is the data that Mr. Sean Hungerford is talking about that is going to be submitted to the CEC or has already been submitted. Is it actually accurate? Why, I want to know why the R&B Inyakern water supply assessment didn't include our own Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority plan. I mean, to me, this is very strange. So that needs to be looked into. Then my other two reasons why I am opposed to the data center is I'm worried about the fires. I've read articles saying that some data centers catch on fire as many as 3 to 4 times a year. Well, I don't want to breathe burning lithium batteries, and it's going to pollute the air, something terrible in this valley, and we're supposed to keep it clean because we need it to sustain our military base here. And then the other concern I have is the effect it's going to have on military operations. I'm concerned about the night lights, and is it going to affect the R2508 restricted airspace that we have over our area? I don't want any interference of the military activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Good evening, council and residents. My name is Gaston Moore. I'm the president of the IBEW Local 428, and we represent the electricians of Kern County. I am speaking in favor of the Inyokern Data Center. Projects like this, similar, have helped pave my way through my career. I started about 14 years ago. I am native to this desert. I grew up out here and was given an opportunity on a project similar, not a data center, but was introduced to this. I'm a first generation electrician, and just was kind of brought into this, shown the way, and then led my path to where I am today. Obviously, I'm not here to change anybody's minds. We're all pretty set on where we stand, and I totally respect your guys' point of view. I'm just, we are interested in obtaining the work. We want to train the apprentices, and we want to provide an opportunity for anyone who's interested. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaston.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Cutts. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Mankind finds itself at a very important intersection. One side is artificial intelligence, a tool capable of helping us solve problems and accelerating discovery. And on the other side, there are the enormous physical resources required to support that technology. So some people presenting here this choice between progress and resistance, and I don't believe that's true at all. The question before us tonight is not whether technology is good or bad. The question is whether this particular project is appropriate for this particular place. And before we answer that question, we need complete transparency. One of the most troubling aspects of this proposal is the growing gap between how the project has been presented to regulators and county planning officials and how it has been marketed to investors and the public. The California Energy Commission application, you're right, Mr. Hungerford, does focus on 99 megawatt project, but the developer's own marketing materials and what was up on his website until recently also associated the project with a much larger vision and future potential. So public comments submitted to the CEC have repeatedly raised concerns about whether the project is being evaluated as a standalone facility or whether a larger phased build-out is reasonably foreseeable. You asked Mr. Hungerford that question directly, and he deflected his answer by only addressing what the application is at this time. So if a larger project is anticipated, then we deserve to know that now. not after permits are granted and infrastructure commitments have already been made. Transparency is not anti-development. Transparency is foundation of responsible development. So the second concern is water. Mr. Hunterford was also asked specific questions about the water, which he also deflected because he's not technically able to answer it. Okay? So our area is being asked to commit water resources that have not yet been defined by court adjudication process. We can't commit water resources before we know how much water we have to share, period. End of story, we can't. So the third concern is electricity. Questions have been raised about transmission planning, long-term reliability. You heard from somebody, a bird knocked out her entire electricity for, I don't know how long that was for, what the future electrical system needs, and who pays for all of this long-term. It's the ratepayers. Just take a look at what ratepayers have experienced in other states. Their costs have gone up significantly, and I would especially call your attention to what happened to people in Georgia. So the fourth concern is economic reality. The project's marketing materials promise jobs, tax revenue, and opportunity. They don't talk about the net gain or loss to the community. Data centers may create temporary construction employment, but relatively small permanent workforces once operations begin. And because much of the construction workforce is highly specialized and mobile, a significant portion of those jobs may be filled by workers from outside the region rather than local residents. The attorney for RNL Capital mentioned that the developer is local. No, he's not. He lives in Trona. He doesn't live in Inyo Kern or Ridgecrest, therefore he is not local. So there's another reality that we should understand, and that is across the country, an emerging developer business model is acquire industrial land or land-compatible zoning, secure utility access, obtain permits, complete abbreviated environmental reviews, and create a shovel-ready project as fast as you possibly can so you can sell it. So that raises an important question for us. Who is the ultimate intended owner and operator of this facility? We deserve to know who may eventually control a project that could affect our region for decades. Other communities like ours have imposed pauses, moratoriums, or additional environmental review because of concerns like these and more. So the overarching lesson from those communities is simple. The communities that fare the best are the ones that ask the hard questions before irreversible decisions are made. So before any approvals move forward, we should insist upon complete transparency regarding project scope, future expansion potential, resource consumption, infrastructure needs, and long-term ownership. So I'll just close with a quote from Dr. Seuss from the Lorax. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
My name is Barbara Bain. Some of you up there on the podium know me as an archaeologist at Matarango Museum, but I spent 25 years as a proud union fitter in UA Local 483 in the Bay Area. I served on my union's board, and I taught apprentices for 18 years in the apprenticeship school. I know a little bit about union construction, and with all due respect to my union brothers sitting there, I'm here to tell you that the majority of these jobs for this project will not go to local apprentices nor to local people. It will bring people in from other parts of Kern County, and when the project's done, they will go back to other places. There is just not the concentrated work availability here for very many union people. Now, we have a base rebuild, and that was great, but you see what happens after 4 years. Where are those people? They're gone. They're gone, okay? I support unions, and I support the good jobs. I served a union apprenticeship, but I'm here to tell you if I had a nickel for every union project I worked on where, oh yeah, it's going to be local, in Oakland, in San Francisco, in other parts of the Bay Area, And it was only a small part of the project, and the vast majority of workers come from someplace else and are going back to Bakersfield or Los Angeles or other parts of Kern County. That's just the way it is in a small town like this. So I just don't think that part of it is gonna play out for us. As much as I support unions, it's just not gonna work out for us. It's just not. The other thing I'm wondering, changing the subject, is to what extent Ridgecrest will not be receiving the tax benefits of this data center because it's outside of our city limits. The money will be flowing to Bakersfield. And we all know how much money does not come back to us. I'm wondering to what extent are we going to be on the hook to provide fire and police services for this facility? There's no police department in Inyo Kern, it's sheriffs. There's no fire department other than a tiny station in Inyo Kern. Who's going to provide those services if the data center catches on fire, or if there's a problem, or emergency services? It's going to be us, the taxpayers of Ridgecrest. So in return, what are we getting for it? Air pollution, light pollution, a heat thermal effect? It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
I came more prepared this time. I think the Data Center provides a really unique opportunity for everyone on the council to show who you really are working for, to show who you really care about. I can appreciate Travis's perspective that he wants to get the opinion of someone who is for this data center, but don't insult us by bringing in someone literally being paid to support it. He doesn't care about us or the data center, he cares about his wallet. And don't bring in a lawyer so poor at his job that he can't even BS his way into a decent defense. Travis, you said you've only ever heard negative things about the data center, and that's why you wanted to bring him in. The question now is, do you think the paid voice of a few is worth more than the unpaid voice of hundreds? Lastly, I just want to remind the council that part of why people like this town is because it's cheaper, it's quieter, and it's darker. If you want to see tourism die in Ridgecrest, then by all means, approve the center.
Good evening. My name is Jade Zimmerman. I am here speaking on behalf of myself and also my husband, who is kindly at home taking care of our two young kids. But my husband is a union member of the high voltage electricians. He's a high voltage electrician. I'm a geologist. I spent about 5 years working in the early stages of the groundwater sustainability plan for both Trona as part of Silos Valley Minerals, and then I moved on to the base to work. So I just want to say just lay that foundation because I have this sort of wide perspective, and I just got to say that both my husband and I oppose this data center. Come right out and say that because of all of the things brought here, everything. And I want to, again, share a story of my husband. He did go to school. He went to college at Cal Poly Pomona and promptly dropped out. And his stated reason for dropping out of college was he missed the stars. Yeah. He couldn't, it was hard. It was difficult to be in the city. Grew up here, right? He had to come back. He missed it so much. And I love it so much. My grandparents, I loved, Tammy, thank you for sharing. My great-grandparents came into this area in the late 1920s. My grandmother, Margaret Brush, was born in Cartago when there was still water in Owens Valley. So thank you, Skip Gorman, Mr. Gorman, for bringing up Mr. Mulholland, because that's a really important lesson to learn. And I think this is something we may be reliving here with this data center. My same great-grandparents who came out here, my great-grandfather George Pippin wrote a couple stories for a column for the Trona Argonaut, and he collected stories from the local old-timers, and a bunch of them had stories about Mr. Mulholland and the LIDWP aqueduct project. It was also hailed as innovation, progress, and it was massive. What a massive undertaking, 233 miles of pipeline and exploding through mountains and all kinds of stuff, 57 man camps and all kinds of things. And then what happened? Yeah, we all know. Everyone left. And where's the water? It's not here. And that's a massive concern. Massive concern that we'll be seeing that again. And the water is just going to be gone. So what I would love to see is a third-party, impartial environmental review. Because that is the only way. That is the only way we're going to get the truth that we deserve on what is actually going to get impacted here. And any possible way we can get that sort of information, would love it. I'm not sure how at this point, but would love to see that happen. The other thing is I would like to ask this body to do whatever is in your power to do to ensure that if this data center gets constructed, to do whatever is in your power to mitigate all impacts to our region, the whole valley, everyone, economically, water, all as much as possible, right? Thanks. That's all I can ask. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Tate. I purchased a house here, and I'm telling you, I would not, I repeat, not have purchased a house here if I knew a data center was going to go up. All respect to your trades, and I have build something else, something that isn't going to suck the life out of all the human beings. I mean, we're building these things, and it takes the place of human beings, replaces them with robots. Is that really what you want your legacy to be? I understand you need to learn your trade. Build anything else, anything. You know, and the popular consensus is that it's only going to tank the property values in Inyokern. But I don't think that's true. I, for one, would not have purchased a home here if I knew this data center was going to go up, and I can't be the only one. People out there in real estate, you may want to consider taking on a different job because nobody's going to buy here. I certainly wouldn't have. We're not going to have any water. What good is paying your mortgage for the next 4 years going to do if like my niece in Missouri, who they had a data center come in, years later they turn on their tap, what comes out is brackish and smelly, and that's all they've got. If that happens to us, do we have any legal recourse at all? Or are we just left, oh, we were wrong, too bad, kick rocks? Is that what we get? I hope not. We really don't have any say? It's our water too. How can that be? This is just completely unacceptable. Those motorcycles you were talking about and that noise, imagine that never stopping. And all you get is, oh, well, it's within the acceptable octaves. It's never going to stop. This is what we're going to be stuck with forever. And forever is a very long time. Please don't let this happen. Do everything in your power to not let this happen to us. Please.
Thank you, Lisa.
So I know I'm always so thoughtful and put together, but I'm a little emotional because I've lived here since 2016, and our community has never been united like this. And so on one hand, obviously I'm going to talk about data center in a second, but at the same time, we all agree on something. This is earth-shattering. And so I just want to honor that for a second, because I feel like this is a thing that we can really unite around to really share a concern that we have for the future of our community. indulge me for 1 second. To our visitors, welcome. We're not usually like this. We're quite nice. We have lovely restaurants. You should check out our welcome center. Stay in our hotels. Every restaurant is good. If not, they close. We do feel very strongly about this issue, and that's why we are here and so passionate. And we love having people in our town if they're not building things that we hate. We really do. I also want to briefly address the attorney, which is that, yes, you did submit a 1,300-page application. They used recycled things from other projects that aren't relevant, that are outdated. Literally, we went through line by line. I sent some of you a 26-page email, and almost everything has a deficiency, so might want to take a look at that. But, obviously all of our concerns are the same, and they've all been covered. But I do want to say one thing that I think is probably not the most popular, which is that I do not think you should take a stance on this tonight or in the near future, because that is the point of having a complete application, is you have all of the facts and you can review those. That does not mean that there's not a very important voice for this body as the largest city in this entire region, as a government body that has eyes on a project and is trying to share with people in Sacramento and Bakersfield who've never been here, probably couldn't find us on a map, what is going on here and what the issues are. Because the point of the process right now is to ensure that everything that needs studied and looked at is looked at. So I don't want you to say we oppose or we approve. I think it's premature. But what I do want this council to do, and I would ask you to put on the agenda for the next meeting, or now, actually, you can do it now, is I'd like you to direct staff to submit a letter or prepare a letter for you to review to submit that states that this project does have significant adverse environmental impacts, because it does. You can pick the issue it impacts. It's everything. The water is obviously, hence our beautiful signs that are also great fans. Water, power. Power is, I think Kelly shared, under a confidentiality designation. Thank you for somebody who shared that with us. We can't even tell if it's accurate or not, or if it impacts us. Obviously, the environmental issues, the cultural issues, the zoning. This is going into M2 zoning, which means the impacts of it are not supposed to leave the proposed zoning boundary. Can you imagine no dust leaving the project boundary in a data center? And for the very real impacts this has on our base, because there are national security concerns. There may be a certain realtor, I don't know if he's here or not, who said on Facebook to me today, it's not like Barker's gonna own it, he'll get it through permitting and sell it. Sell it to whom? We have serious national security concerns here with the base next door. Not even to mention the national security concerns of who knows what products from China that are being put into infrastructure. Take that to the noise, take that to the dark skies, take that to the turtles and the very cute little chipmunks. There's so many significant adverse environmental impacts with this. So I would just ask our council to be our voice for our city, who does absolutely experience these, but also for our entire valley. Because there are so many issues and so many people in this valley who do not have a council that can speak for them. And I do feel it's appropriate for you to be the voice of our whole valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Hello. It's so nice to see the council and the public in agreement on something, or mostly in agreement on something for once. It's really heartwarming, as Jen said. I really find that quite nice. Anyways, I had two questions that I was really hoping to pose. The first is something that I haven't heard anybody say. Everybody is focused on the environmental impact, which is good and something that we very much need to address. But the other side that I think needs to be addressed is the impact this is projected to have on our bills. From what we have seen in third-party projections, it looks like this could double electricity and water bills, and that in and of itself could turn Ridgecrest into a ghost town. There is not a large population of people who can support more expensive bills. A very large portion of this town lives on the financial limit, and a doubling of those two bills would basically force people to move out, a large portion of people, and that is an untenable stance for this city. The other thing that I would really like to ask is to Mr. Reed. I'm curious, have you or your company done any civil engineering or surveying work for the Barkers? Anyways, that's all I had to say today.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from Tehachapi. And I'm here to try and understand better how this can affect us and also affect you because we care about our neighbors too. But I'm from Glendale originally, moved to Tehachapi. My dad's also a building inspector. My sister and I started taking classes at Pasadena City College to become building inspectors. She's a building inspector now. Professor Mel Plummer assured us that a building inspector is one of those jobs that can't be replaced by AI. Now we're hearing that they're training AI models to enforce building codes with little drones flying around job sites. So I wouldn't be so sure that there's any profession out there that can't be replaced with AI, with these robots. And honestly, up to and including elected positions, because these billionaire technocrats, are using unprecedented amounts of power in world history to destroy democratic institutions and anything else that stands in the way of them and their power. Peter Thiel was asked if he thinks that humanity should go on existing, and he stuttered for 15 seconds. These people are not building data centers out of the goodness of their hearts because they want to create jobs. They're trying to build their power. And they don't care about us. This is not about doing anything good for us. That's what I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick.
Good evening, council members and other members of my community. My name is Naomi Melton. I've lived here my whole life. I also moved away and came back. I'm a China Lake police officer on base. I know several of the iron workers who they said that they also had a lot of their work from the base. I believe that we have enough work on the base and they could get their training there. I would encourage that. I do not support the data center. I'm concerned about the environmental and water. I'm also concerned about, the morality and the ethics of encouraging the data center. And my question is, how many health problems could arise from a data center? I don't think we've had long-term testing on cancer effects or things of that nature, and I'm very concerned about that. Erin Brockovich has gotten behind trying to be opposed to data centers, and she did a lot of work in Hinckley, which is very close to us, and she's very knowledgeable, and she cares very much about the health of communities, and for her to get behind this, I think should show some weight to what everyone here is saying. I've never been to a community meeting, but I think this is extremely important. And there was a lady, I believe in Montana, she was offered $26 million for a data center on her property, and she turned it down. And I think if she can turn that down, we should, as a community, turn this down. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ed Chaika. I've been a resident since August of '07. I'm kind of on the fence with this whole data center thing, and honestly, I've with full-time job and everything, I haven't had much time to be able to follow all of it. But from what I understand, I am opposed to the way it's currently written. It's currently proposed. But a lot of the conversation we're having is, well, AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. Well, rewind 30 years ago, and we would say the internet is going to replace a lot of jobs. Where are we today? A lot of people are embracing the internet. Society will evolve, society will change, and we will use the new technology, and we will adapt. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it in this context. What I'm saying is we're at a precipice of change, and this is a part where we can kind of take it into account for that, but we have to be careful with it. Let's take your car, for example. Did a car replace jobs? How about, we're obviously pretty emotionally charged about water. Well, how much water does your vehicle use when you go to drive it? Are you pouring water into your vehicle at a rate of a gallon per mile? No. The vehicle recycles it. There's technologies available where we don't have to evaporate thousands of gallons of water just to operate an AC system per day. There's buildings that are recently built within the valley that operates on this exact technology, recycles the water like it's blood through the building, and then it goes to an air condenser, and it chills the water with that. It does not consume water at mass quantities. How about power? Well, we mandate, say, solar, maybe some battery systems, and try to augment its power usage. Lights, there's different technologies. You point them downwards, you change the color tint. There's ways we can mitigate a lot of the things that we're kind of pushing against, saying we don't want this in our backyard. You can mitigate a lot of this. Noise, again, mitigation. We see carpet on the walls here. What is it designed for? It's designed to mitigate noise. You're saying that the technology doesn't exist to be able to mitigate that too? We could put up berms. There's all kinds of different things, but it's a matter of enforcing like some sort of regulation or recommendation for how the building is going to be constructed to mitigate some of the concerns that citizens have within the valley. Now, I'm not sure how much power we have being here in Ridgecrest, considering it's trying to be built in Inyokern, other than we can write a strong letter. But the reality is we're still having a conversation. And I think instead of being emotionally charged, let's take a step back and think, well, can we mitigate some of this before we try and shut it completely down? Just think of the perspective. 30 years ago, the internet will replace jobs. Today we're saying AI is going to replace jobs. But we're not boycotting a lot of the things that use AI. We're not boycotting the things where robots are. Guess what? Amazon packages your boxes with robots. They process everything for advertising through AI. We live in a lot of this. A lot of the social media that you consume to be able to find a lot of the content here was driven by a data center. The video stream that's going over YouTube right now, it's housed on a data center. Banking. All kinds of other websites for the data center as well. It's all hosted there. I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't have it, but we at least need to have the conversations of, well, if there's concerns, how do we mitigate it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Good evening. I guess we're almost at the end. My name is Lauriston Boardman. I am a resident of Inyokern for many years, so I have a great deal of interest here. I would just like to put a couple of questions that hopefully the developer and his spokesman would answer online or wherever it's appropriate. This has been presented at 50 acre-feet per year water consumption. What happens if that's exceeded? If it goes to 60 acre-feet, I'm sure somebody will say, oops, sorry, we missed. If it goes to 80, 100, 120, is there a cutoff switch where the plant will be shut down? Or will its production be scaled back so that it stays within the 50 acre-feet per year that was projected? Looking even farther down the road, what's the lifespan of this? Electronics die, they don't last forever. And when that time comes that this plant reaches the end of its life cycle, who's going to dismantle it and dispose of all of the electronics properly? And I don't think that will be a cheap and easy task to do. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to start by thanking everyone here. Thank you for the time that is being dedicated to this. My name is Elliot Heater. As a long-term resident of this valley, born and raised, I would like to ask the question, because unfortunately the world revolves around money. How is the realistic environmental scarcity of the resources that are likely to be consumed by potential data center development being translated to economic potential pain for developers or for operators? And that will fundamentally come down to the increased water bills or electrical components or electrical uses. How are those rates and service rates going to be imputed? How are those going to be adjusted for the scarcity that we all experience. And I firmly understand that the primary constraint here is water, or at least that is one of the primary constraints. How are we going to make sure that is billed appropriately, and how are we going to have the transparency to know the any potential operator here is getting billed fairly, similarly to how any other business would be billed in this town? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Libby. I've lived here my entire life. I thought if I were to talk, I'd be the youngest person. I'd be very happy to see someone younger than me. This is not planned, but I have seen like the effect of data centers online. Not a single person, other than people who make money from them, are like, yeah, I want a data center. It's like all people, like every single person I've seen here pro today, which I did go out for a bit, have been people who make money. I understand. I'm a union member. I have paid attention to my job. I'm the next generation that was speaking of and they're like, they want this. No, we do not. I am 20. AI scares me. I've heard people say no one's boycotting AI. I try my best to boycott AI. My friends are boycotting AI. We do not want this in our town. It messed up sound, it messed up water, it messed up electricity. It will just mess up the town that I know a lot of people here love. And guess what? If the people who want to build the data center here, build it, they get money. They will get money for their land. They will get money for doing it. Then they can leave. We're just stuck here with riskless rots. I do not want to see that happen to a town I love. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be here the rest of my life, but I don't want to have to be forced to leave because the ground is rotted, the water is rotted. I've seen this. I do not want it to happen to the town that I love, with all the friends, family that I love. I don't want it to infect all of our loved ones in Inyo County. I won't be a victim of all this sound pollution. I don't live there, but neither do the people building it. Neither do the people make money from it. Yes, they might give us a couple jobs, but it's not going to sustain us in the way that like, oh yeah, this would save us. I've heard it mentioned by Mr. Loyal Man, I'm terrible with names, sorry so, that, well, they're local people. Yes, and this will get them money, and then they don't have to be local anymore. The people building it might be local, but they don't care about us. And bye-bye.
Thank you, Libby.
Good evening. Excuse me, my name is Kathy Brown, and I am opposed to the data center. Today I put in, excuse me, I kind of threw this all together real quick, and I'll talk as fast as I can. The main issues here from the top I see is our water. We have a basin, as we said, is uncritical, and we haven't even completed the adjudication process, and that's coming up with the Honorable Judge William Claster. So we do need to give that time for that to be processed properly. It's as if everyone's ignoring the adjudication process and the water. It's like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. But the reality is, it does. The second thing is the air pollution that this will cause. I won't get into great detail, but we already know about the particulate matters. The CO2, the nitrogen oxide, that cause tremendous lung problems with people, and they get into your lungs real deep. Asthma, bronchitis. I would say this to the community. I was born in California. I'm from Los Angeles, and I've lived here 20 years. Came here many years for the mountains and stuff, and I remember this poor area being abused by the Department of Water and Power that didn't care one thing about you people. They wanted you to breathe the air, and it took years and years of lawsuits. Finally, a judge said, excuse me, slapped their hands, you're gonna have to stop it. So right now we have good air. Now we're visiting the issue again. I don't think that's right for this whole valley. The other thing is, it's really, I think we're fighting here for our quality of life. We have a right to a quality of life here, and it will be destroyed. And I am a union person myself, so I do hear the trade guys. I really support you, and I do understand that. The other thing is the high electric bills. Study it across the country, it happens all the time. Your electric bills will go up. When I moved here 20 years ago, my kilowatt hours, it was 5 cents. Now it's 30 cents. There was 3 tiers, now there's 2 tiers. So it keeps upping up. And the grid in California is not sufficient to support this. This is going to cause a lot of the dark skies. We have an ordinance. Are we going to destroy that ordinance? Just for your information, Ridgecrest area, from an astronomy point, which I am a member of the Astronomy Club, has one of the greatest places in the United States, the Western United States, for visiting and studying astronomy. And that's very important to us, all of us. I have a problem with the fire department. Does Kern County have enough resources if there's a major fire breaking out with 40 diesel engines blowing? And then you have a casino proposal right next door. That's really kind of blowing me out. It's like, what? The other thing is, they say they want another plant, but that's kind of crazy. Okay, let me move this up real quick here. I would say this. I don't want to. Okay, utility rates, we know they will go up. The other thing I want to bring up is, as our elected representatives, will you vote to reject any conditional use permit that increases the depletion of our groundwater before our valley water adjudication process has been fully settled? That's a question I have. Your silence in all these matters is exposing a liability. We require from all of our powers that be that our elected officials get together and say simply yes or no response. You can no longer sit on the fence. And I'm not saying you've been on the fence that long. Sorry. Okay. The R&L Capital, put it in your own neighborhood in Trona. Keep it out of here, okay? But you're still violating the water because you're still part of that basin. Okay. Do you, our leaders, support giving a massive AR data center exemption from CEQA? I don't think that's right. Yes or no on that? Will you call your demand for comprehensive environmental impact report? Yes or no on that one? To not step up and do what is right is unconscionable. In the GSA, we hear about it all the time. Your solution with the pipeline, that's just part of it. Okay, sorry about that. I'm done.
Thank you,
I'm done.
Kathy.
Thank you anyway. Could I say just one more thing for 30 seconds? Yeah. Thank you so much. This I thought was kind of important. Hot alert. June 2nd, yesterday, Monterey Park, California, in the San Gabriel Valley, officially banned data centers in their community. How did this happen? They listened to their constituents. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again. I don't know if I'm welcome to come back up for a second round, but I just forgot something really important. I noticed it when I was here last month when we were talking about the water and the pipeline, and so I just wanted to touch on it so that it's on the record. I love this building, this whole plaza, this whole area, and I remember when it was built, and it was a proud time for our city. But as I pulled in, I noticed all of the green grass. And I love grass. Don't you? I love grass. But what I noticed when I was leaving was that the water was, it was watering. The lawn was getting watered. And I just wonder how much water is being used to water this beautiful lawn, both out front and in the back. And if there's any plans to maybe do something different with that. And I heard someone say about maybe we should move the data center to Trona. I actually don't think that's a good idea either, because that is still in our valley, still in our community. So I don't think that that's a good idea either. We all share the same water, same air, the wind blows, so if it's there, it's going to come to us. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Neal, and I'd like to ask you all a question tonight, or pose a scenario to you. The little bit that I know, you gentlemen, I am assuming that you're all men who love your wives or your mate, your family, probably very dearly. And I'd like for you to think about a scenario if someone was, and let me say first, I'm borrowing some thoughts from someone that I found online, but they're some of my thoughts also. So I'd like for you to think about what would happen if you had your property, your home, you were in your home one night, and you saw someone, you saw a man, or you saw a couple of people out in your yard, and you had, let's say you have your own well on your property, and you see someone out there poisoning your well, putting things in your well. I suspect, because I believe you all to be men of character, I suspect that you would probably not be passive, not be docile when it came to protecting your wives and your families. If you knew that their very life source was going to be poisoned. I think you have heard enough already from the community, and I'm assuming that you all have done your due diligence to realize that there's probably no end to the poisoning effect that this data center could have on our community, on our valley. I would really encourage you all to consider that. There's a term that is thrown around an awful lot about conspiracy theories, and we know that, the good old CIA contrived that term years ago to label people who had a far-reaching vision and saw. They watched. They were like watchers. I see those who get often labeled as conspiracy theorists as those who are very concerned about their own families, their communities, their nation. And so they raise questions, and they think about, where is this coming from, and where's it going? What's the purpose of it? And oftentimes those people are silenced very quickly because, oh, that's too extreme. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, that couldn't be. But I'd like for you to all consider, we live in a community that has been very patriotic. I've sat in this council chamber many times. I've seen all kinds of things that because of our base, because we want to protect and defend not only our own local community, but our nation. And as a mother of 3 military servicemen, one who has already paid the ultimate price, I would just like for you to ask yourselves, when 2,300 or more data centers have been opened throughout the country, with these kind of effects you've heard, within the last year or so, that many data centers have broken ground, where is this agenda coming from? Do we have an adversary that is trying to poison our well in our nation, that is trying to take the very lifeblood of our citizens throughout our country, that's trying to change our whole way of life, not just for convenience, but for a larger agenda. We've seen so much in the last few years that have served to bring our nation down. I'm just encouraging you, forgive me for going over, but I'm encouraging you to please consider these things and take the steps, all the steps that you can, as you've been urged to do. Write a letter in opposition, ask the questions that need to be asked, and let's, as a community, not only defend ourselves here, let's really stand Ridgecrest as an example to this nation to stand against those things that could be really serving to undermine our republic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Jade Zimmerman. I'm back again. And I want to put on a slightly more technical hat this time. Based on other comments I heard, I felt it was important to bring this up. There is one story of a data center that was built in what I would call maybe the most appropriate place for something like this to go. A data center that actually benefited the community. And so as a matter of alternate perspectives, I really wanted to share this story. So this data center was built in Finland. As we know, Finland's quite cold. It was built underground. They repurposed an old mine deep underground, put the data center under there, so that mitigated light, sound, right? And they did use this recycled binary system, so the cooling was recycled, right? No water or very, very minimal water use. And then the heat, what did they do with the waste heat? They put it into direct use to the community, right? It's again, Finland is cold. So the community is now heated by this, by the data center. That's one example where a data center came in. It mitigated all the issues, seemingly, right? I haven't kept track of this one, but the issues that we've all brought up here, and provided a direct benefit with their heat to the community, right? It reduced bills, right? It brought the economic and all the prosperity, right, that folks are trying to claim. This isn't there. This is not Finland. This is not that situation. And who is going to pay to do it right? Right? What's it going to take to do it right or to actually add benefit? Who's going to pay for it? And in that same vein, I work on the base as a geologist with the Navy Geothermal Program Office, and I can tell you exactly how many geothermal fields are developed on any military base in the world. One, it's here. And despite 40 plus years of this program being in place, it's really difficult to build another geothermal plant to try to get a base to be self-sustaining, even though there are other bases with resources. There are plenty of other bases with geothermal resources, but it's really hard to do because building is expensive. Building things correctly is expensive. Economies of scale matter. And so that's where this becomes a little scary. Well, it's already really scary, as you've heard. But the mitigation ways to potentially do this with minimal impact start to become less economic for the developer. And that's why they don't do it. That's why nobody does this stuff correctly, or they don't want to. It's too expensive. So how do we hold them accountable? How do we, it's just something to keep in mind. I just wanted to share this to make sure you understand that there could be ways to do this properly, correctly, that have benefits to the community, but this does not is not the right place. The hottest place, one of the hottest places in the continental U.S. to build a data center is just with minimal water. It's just not right. It's just not right. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Hello, my name is Charles Morris. I want everyone to know, if I don't know you here, I've lived here since the 80s, so I'm a new guy. Okay, but I love it here. I love sitting in my rocking chair. I live in Inyokern. I love sitting on my porch and watching the sky, seeing the bunnies hop out, because my wife has this thing where she's got to feed everything in the world. You know, if she didn't feed them, they wouldn't survive. What I'm kind of curious about is why when Sean Hungerford was asked tough questions, he dodged them. He wouldn't answer them. He had nothing to say. Another thing I got to say is, if our water was so good for LA, then why don't they take our data center? It should go right there. They can put it downtown. We'll all be happy, okay? They'll be happy because they already got our water. They've had that for years and years. Another thing I think on a closing note is, everybody up here, just remember, you work for us. We don't work for you. Bottom line, okay? So you need to do what we want done for everybody here. Life's too short for BS. And I am retired from a union job. I was a mailman here. I know most of you. And I love it. You know, I absolutely love it here. I moved here from down below. I've been here over, close to 40 years. And I never want to leave. Of course, I may have to. I own land out in Inyokern. That may or may not be a good thing. Thank you guys very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We have someone on the phone. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, my name is Stacy Weems. I have worked at Gateway Hardware for almost 15 years, and I just have a little bit to say about the water. I have watched many people come in not being able to afford to get their wells drilled and having to get loans and different things or different ways to get their wells re-drilled, and they're having to buy water tanks from us. I know our well at the hardware store just went dry last year. We had to re-drill, and I am on other side of 395, and my well is going dry. We will have to re-drill probably within the next year or lower, or sooner. I think this data center going in is not a good thing. I love our city of Inyokern and Ridgecrest, and I don't think it should go in. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Low enough for me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kitty Reeve. I don't know if a lot of you have read my posts or not. Thanks to the, get a new name, taxpayer. That's it. We kind of all come together from different political realms and things like that to talk about this data center. But I have the data on the 99 megawatt expansion that I received from Eloy. Is it, what is his name? Rodriguez, thank you very much. Anyway, he had a little exchange with me on Facebook where they said, oh, we made a mistake and we really weren't going to expand it like that, but one of our guys found this cool little map that talks about his submission for the electrical power for the extra 99 megawatt center. So what I thought I would do is provide you guys with the copies of my statement, his statements, and a copy of the map. And maybe the lawyer can figure out how to address that.
Thank you, Kitty.
Oh, and you can either go to my website, my Facebook page, Kitty Reeve, and it'll connect you into the taxpayer. If you can't find them, then hook into mine, go find theirs, or vice versa. We're sharing data all the time. So thanks.
All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to comment? All right. Well, we will bring it back to council. Councilman Gorman?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Is this a good time for this agenda item to make a motion?
Yes.
I know it's late. I've been sitting here waiting to do this. I move to direct staff to draw up a resolution opposing the siting of the proposed Inyo Kern Data Center, and further, to direct the staff to draw up a formal letter to the CEC and Kern County Board of Supervisors objecting to the proposed Inyo Kern Data Center on the basis of multifaceted environmental impacts. Thank you, Jennifer Wood Slayton.
I have some concerns about it. I like to make decisions based on the most thorough factual evidence that I can base that on. I definitely take into consideration everybody's comments and concerns. I think it's shared by everyone. But I do agree with what Jennifer stated earlier, that until we find out from the CEC about some of these issues, that it makes it difficult for us as a board to make a solid decision or opposition for or against this project. I personally am patiently and wanting to hear back from the CEC on the environmental issues that are very concerning to everyone, the power, the noise, the lighting, and the biggest one for me, and I'm going to get neck deep in it with the GA, is the water. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. So
I would like to, I'm sorry, do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say what I would like to do is I would love to see the staff insert ourselves as aggressively as possible into the EIR process. And we need to continue to monitor this. We need to be methodical about our approach. I think that even just a letter, one way or the other, just goes out. At some point, we're just showing the community, well, we're just making a gesture, and when those gestures can fall flat. And what I don't want the community to ever think is, whether they agree with us or whether they don't agree with us, is that we're just doing things for performance. I don't like performa or anything of that sort. But what I do want to follow up with is action, and actually following this, and because we have seen, like across the nation, where things don't always pan out the way they're supposed to. So we need to bird dog these issues. And so I think if we can get the staff to insert themselves into the EIR process, and if that takes a letter, then yes, by all means, let's draft it. Let's draft it, but we need to be a part of the process.
No, and I would agree with that, and so I'm okay.
I think my thought is that I think based on the pages of notes that I've taken, right, there were questions raised by individuals that I want to get answers to. And so, the question on the utilities being increasing, I think we need to talk to SCE. On water, we're going to rely on you. I think that talking to Kern County Planning Commission, getting a stance in there, or see what we can get. I don't know who, it might have been Jennifer brought up that SE's algorithm or whatever was behind, it was locked behind something, seeing if we can get some information on that so that we can understand how they're calculating cost, what's going to happen with that. To me, I think I want to thank you all for your comments, especially the Maverick and Livy, having younger individuals come here and voice their concern. I think it's fantastic. But I think that this has just given us even more stuff that we need to look into.
So do you feel that bringing it back to a staff level or committee level to address some of those questions or concerns that you may have, or I, or anyone, any other board
Or what the
member,
public has.
Some of what the public has brought out, questions?
So can we have the city manager or the lawyer look into what it takes to, like I said, it could be a letter, it could be whatever it is, to insert ourselves in the process, and if we need to kick it back to the infrastructure committee where we're constantly tracking it, then let's do that.
You can get party or intervener status if your lawyer's willing to do it.
So that if you guys, council, if you don't mind for a second. So I did do some research. Council does, we do have the ability to file a petition to intervene under Title 20 CCNR Section 1211.7. Basically, under the light that we have substantial interest because we share the same water, we're fed from the same substation, things of that nature. The way I understand it is you then can issue a formal data request to people like SCE where that is locked under the trade secret clause, and they have the right to decline and offer and ask you to provide or negotiate an NDA. And essentially you become party to what's going on with the CEC. So there is that option afforded to us if we see that being a way we would like to go.
Martin, did you have something you wanted to add?
Thank you. I think that for the council to consider is, especially in view of potentially directing staff to intervene. Writing a letter in opposition today and then later interjecting ourselves into the process and having some comments on this, maybe reversing the order. I think any comments that we would have on the potential impacts would be much more powerful if they were not preceded by a letter of opposition without knowing these facts.
Right.
We would be predisposed. Again, I think the strength of our position would be greater if we waited to have the SEC accept the application, if you direct staff to go ahead and file the intervener process, become part of the process, and then comment from that position with whatever is appropriate, whether it's comments on particular impacts, whether it's a letter just outlining all of the concerns, if there are concerns. But taking a position right now before we've seen everything there is and been able to evaluate it weakens our later opposition, in my opinion. That's just
I tend to agree with that, Martin. So I don't suggest a letter of opposition or support, but I do suggest we intervene.
Yeah, I'm in favor of being in the intervener status. It gives us probably a seat at the table so we can have a stronger say down the road.
I don't understand what this intervener status business is. I have a motion that's failing to get a second. I'm 80 years old. I can live with that. That's fine.
My stance is we wait on the letter and that we get involved more in the process.
With further information, hopefully, that we glean from CEC and
SEC
and work in
SCE.
getting some questions addressed that we can put into the.
And that's exactly what the intervener letter is going to do. So Kathy.
That is what
Kathy,
the
we can't-
intervention, that is what the
Kathy, we
intervention
can't hear you,
process
but that's
does.
what the
Yeah.
purpose of the intervention are. Yeah. Okay, does staff have direction? Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other comments from council?
Yes, we just directed the staff, asked the staff to interject themselves into the process formally by submitting an intervenor letter to the state.
What the intervention was, what details?
So basically what it allows you to do is you file a petition to intervene in the CEC process. And you file it consistent with Title 20 CCNR, Section 1211.7. And what you're basically doing is you're saying you have a substantial interest in this project because of a lot of the reasons you guys have raised tonight. And it gives you the ability to sign an NDA or do things and see anything and everything that's hidden under the CEC exemption right now. It makes you party to what is going on, what they are looking at. It depends on what SCE wants. It's a possible thing. It depends on how it comes back and how it goes with all the other people involved.
Kitty, the NDA would probably cover the MOS that we can't see from SCE, so they can see what's behind it for the repair.
The public on the phone cannot hear this conversation.
So I will say that the people online cannot hear the discourse that's happening out there right now. And so, yeah. So there's concerns about the NDA process and what that entails, but we don't know yet if there actually is an NDA. We'll have to find out by directing city staff to look into that.
Can I ask one question? I heard Councilman Blades talk about
Did you cut off?
it turned off. I heard Councilman Blades talk about kicking it to infrastructure so we can monitor it in the committee as well. Is that something that we are directing staff to have on the infrastructure committee agenda or not? I just want to make sure I have my
It was just,
full
it was just
training
suggestion.
list.
I don't really, what do you ever guys say?
It falls within infrastructure, so I'm fine having it dual-hatted. I'm sure once we get to future agenda items, this issue will be brought back up in future agendas. So,
Can you ensure the letter includes the phrase significant adverse environmental impacts?
we will work on that. Okay, so I think the idea is to have it go to infrastructure, but I assume this will be a reoccurring issue here for council.
All right, yep,
All right.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so we will, in that, we will move on to committee reports. So we have our Economic Development Committee. That met June 1st. If we have a report from that?
Yes, we did meet, and we had a brief discussion about some stuff that's just been ongoing. Like, we know the works is going in. We're not quite sure when the works is going to be finished up, but it appears like there's been some progress made. I'm going to go back over again how June 12th is Food Truck Friday. July 4th, that event is going to be big. It's going to be impressive. We're excited for it, and there's still a lot of events to sign up for. So if you're listening, and there's events for children, there's events for adults, so please do, and a lot of sponsors have thrown in to support. Local businesses have thrown in to support the event, so that's going to be huge. We also talked about the trip to ICSC that I made, and that a lot of businesses, we got the same conversations that we have most years. It was good, it was productive to keep those conversations going with businesses, to make, to try to bring them into Ridgecrest. A lot of them are like, hey, you're not big enough, that's jog on. So we'll see where that goes in the future. Other than that, there was nothing ground shaking from the Economic Development Committee. Do you have any questions for me, or Solomon, you have anything to add? Okay.
Any questions for Economic Development? All right. Finance Committee their next meeting will be July 14th at 5:30 in City Hall Conference Room B on the first floor. Infrastructure, that meeting will be June 25th at 5 o'clock, City Hall Conference Room B, first floor. Parks, Rec, and Quality of Life Committee met last night. Do you want to?
I'll share it with you. Did you want to mention too the workshop, the finance budget workshop?
Yes.
Is that on the 10th? No.
June 10th.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so there'll be a budget workshop too on the 10th. So, yeah, we could both go back and forth on the finance if you.
Yeah, so we did have public comments. We had members of our senior center come and discuss some viewed inadequacies and some of the meals that they're receiving on holidays or days where the Kern County's not delivering food due to, as was the case yesterday for Election Day, it turned wherever they prepped the food was turned into a polling location. And so they weren't able to, they were given a bag lunch that they deemed unsatisfactory. We workshopped some ideas on how we could try and address that. Did you have any more on that one? Or?
No, maybe elaborate on the bag lunch. It was basically a Crustable peanut butter and jelly packet, a juice box, and a little bag of carrots. So that was Kern County, that was the meal that was supplied to our senior citizens. So found that to be very unacceptable. We're working together through the quality of life and going to follow up on steps with the county on improving that meal in the event that they can't be here and provide the hot lunch for the seniors. So there's been a lot of improvements with the senior center. Overall, the seniors are very happy, but we've kept it on our agenda each and every meeting because we find it extremely important to make the lives of our seniors more fulfilling and take good care of them. So anyway.
Hey, if you don't mind, Scott. So at the beginning, we had some discussion about the senior center staying open for cooling. I'm not asking you to give staff direction one way or the other. Is it just a discussion you can have?
I made notes on that. I'm sure Mayor did too, because
it's a discussion worth having, just
right.
so you know, okay, that's why we're saying no, or no, it's possible.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's another source of providing comfort.
I mean, we have the Kerr-McGee Center, and it stays pumping, and I know that gets managed and monitored, and the messages get put out, but
yeah,
it's worth asking.
We also had a discussion of future projects, some of the ones that will be coming soon or relatively soon. Looking at a trash enclosure behind City Hall so that there's no more illegal dumping into our bins. There's potential bathroom to Pearson Park. Looking at redoing the roofs here in City Hall and at Kerr-McGee. Updating the bathrooms in Kerr-McGee. They are original, so maybe a facelift would do well. Putting a fence around the soccer fields at Armstrong Park. As a soccer coach for the youth leagues, that's a huge benefit. When we run the full field, there's nothing stopping the balls that go past the goal, and not all of our kids are accurate. I know it's a shocker. And so it normally relies on the coach to run into traffic. So that might make some of you happy that I'm running into traffic, but sorry, I use sarcasm a lot, but maybe it's not sarcasm. Who knows? It's late.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm tired. So that we don't have to chase those, we don't have to put our kids in danger when they think that they're good enough to jump down there to go chase a ball onto Drummond. And so, to me, that's a great thing. We also have August 14th. While we have Movie in the Park next Friday.
On the June 12th?
June 12th.
Yep.
Which will be GOAT, the movie GOAT. It's about a goat who plays basketball. I have a 7-year-old daughter. She absolutely loves that film. But August 14th, we're going to have Movie in the Theater, where we are renting a theater, and we'll have the ability for families to reserve tickets, and the movie will be Minecraft. And so it's just an opportunity.
Who's we?
We the city?
We the City.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yep, surprise.
And tickets will be available at the Kerr McGee Center.
Yes.
So anyone that wants to,
So this
your
came
kids?
out of a discussion that we had that, if we could provide, listen, I grew up, I love movies. I love the artistry, I love the stories, and being in the theater is something that we're missing nowadays because everything's on our phone or we can stream it, and you miss out on the atmosphere, the environment, the ambiance of being in that theater and having that collective experience with that individuals. And so trying to get people to go to the theaters, to enjoy that, and to have that shared experience. Really thankful that we've been able to do that, and hopefully it's a hit and people want to attend, and then we can build from there. But August 14th, generally in the hotter months, right, we probably don't want to have a movie in the park and just have a bunch of munchkins out there sweating. So you can be in a theater, have some popcorn, have a shared experience. So
I think the only other thing was the 4th of July festivities, and that's being worked on very diligently and hard with the staff, and so that should be a great community event, and we can update later as we get a little closer to the 4th. But
all right, any questions for us on that?
Nope, I'm good.
April
Thanks, sir.
April 14th, movie in the theater. All right, so we will move on to other committees, boards, or commissions.
Usually I report here about what's happening in Kern Cog. I think I have a nifty little video showing Caltrans District 11 graffiti erasing drone. I saw it and I thought it was very interesting, and but it's late. We'll hold this in your heart. We'll get to see this video of a graffiti erasing drone that Caltrans is using nearby. That's all I have.
Yeah, real quick, Skip. So during the Kern Cog meetings, I know that you get briefings from the different Caltrans districts. Could you, if you remember to, and if you don't, that's okay, because staff I know always follows up, and Travis has a really good relationship with Caltrans and with Kern Cog. But if you remember to, will you please ping District 9 on what Garlock looks like?
I have notes to do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next we have our city manager report.
In light of time, I can save some updates for next meeting.
I mean, we're already in it.
You guys have had us busy. You guys should have a budget presented to you here shortly. And then obviously I've been quite busy researching stuff on the data center and trying to dig for facts.
How's the pool going?
Pool is going really well. Had a couple small, I'm going to say, construction issues that always pop up when you're digging and doing stuff. We found an unmarked Searles Valley Minerals line. We've had a couple issuances, but Terry and his team have been handling it great, making good progress. Got concrete on the ground now. It's really neat to drive by every day and see all the progress and see all the forming of the pool starting to go up and things of that nature. So it's progressing well. I feel like AMG has done a really, really good job of providing images from their drone for us to help share, to try to share the whole process with the public. So it's really, really thoughtful and really awesome of them.
Yeah, I remember when you were Public Works Director, I'm just saying I have faith that you'll hold them accountable, because I remember as Public Works Director, I remember you personally drilling into a street yourself and making somebody redo the pavement. So I hope that you're holding them that accountable.
We
Terry,
will, sir.
Terry, there's the bar, okay?
Yeah, I actually got a call. Somebody texted me and said, hey, somebody is drilling in the middle of the street. Could you call the police or see what's going on? I was like, oh, that's our Public Works Director. Yeah.
Did you call the police?
I should have.
You should have.
I should have. But I texted the city manager at the time, and he said, oh, that's Travis.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm
All
good,
right.
thank you.
Next, future agenda items. Any items that we want to add to the future agenda? How about we have the data center on next?
Well, that's why we were
Already
gonna,
talked about it.
that's why we were gonna talk about it. and-
All right.
That's, okay, then do you not want to put in the infrastructure committee? I mean, which one is it?
I mean, can we not do both?
I suppose you can, but I don't really see the point. It seems redundant.
Yeah. Give the public an opportunity in multiple
Sure.
places.
Sure.
All right.
Do you need a?
No, I
Second on that?
think we already got it. We'll move on to mayor and council comments. Nothing? Councilman Heyman?
I'm not clear on the data center being on the agenda next, are you calling for it to be on the meeting next month? Or next meeting? I mean, are we?
I don't know.
I prefer to wait till we get a little more information further along. I mean, what are we going to hash out that we haven't hashed out tonight?
So we did cancel the July 1st meeting, so that will put it on the July 15th meeting.
15th?
So it does push it out a month.
About a month out?
Yeah,
Okay,
unless
I
you
think
want to
that-
go 6
that-
weeks.
that
But you
sounds
probably won't
reasonable.
hear anything for what?
I mean,
Well,
they
you
have
got-
180
So you got 10 days to
days.
find out if the application is going to be acceptable, and then after that time process, then it's what, 180 days? So that
180
puts you
days.
like out into November or something like that?
Okay. So, mid-July? Mid-July?
We can do every other meeting to
Okay.
try to maybe get through the 180 days or wherever we're at, but we'll keep it going
Yeah,
every other,
I think
every other
that-
meeting.
That's reasonable.
That works.
Okay.
All right. Councilman Heyman, any comments?
No, just thanks to everybody that came tonight and those that are still sitting in this audience. That's a, yeah, it's a statement, so. But anyway, appreciate everybody coming tonight and your comments. It's well taken, so.
All right, so I will say what I say in a meeting. Thank you all for coming up and voicing your concern. For those that haven't been to one of these meetings, one of the things I like to share is that the major fear that people have is public speaking. So again, to have Mr. Baker, Maverick, come up and speak at a young age. The general second biggest fear is death. So more people would rather die than public speak. So I want to thank everyone for their comments, for coming out and participating in government. That's what this space is for. I love that council chambers was full. I wish that happened more often. Another thing that I like to do is on this day, because we are still on Wednesday. In 1965, Edward H. White was the first American to walk in space on this day in 1965. Lastly, I participated in SafeGrad. Had a absolute fantastic time. It was a long night. I dealt blackjack. Probably taught some graduating seniors how not to approach gambling, but had a fun time. Got to talk with them. I just really want to thank all of the volunteers all the businesses that participated in that and helped make that a memorable night and a safe night for the graduating class. And so, yeah. So that's it. Thank you all. I mean, I can stretch this out for 8 more minutes and we can get to 10 o'clock. But thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Get home safe. And we will see you next time.